Hi, I'm Linda Vater, and I'm delighted to be partnering with Homeworthy to bring you into the garden, one of my favorite and I think most meaningful places to spend time. You may remember my tour of our Oklahoma City cottage, where my signature style first found a wider audience on the Homeworthy channel. My gardens reflect a mix of classic structure and cottage charm, shaped by years of hands-on experience, a lot of mistakes, and a deep appreciation for beauty in every season. Together, we'll explore timeless ideas, practical tips, and inspiration to help you create a garden that feels truly like home. Join me in living a garden-inspired life.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
All right, in 3, 2.
Well, I am so excited to bring you this garden tour today. One of the most, if not the most exceptional small gardens you will ever see, and it speaks to me because I am here with my friend Sammy, one of the cutest people on the planet, who shares my obsession, my fascination, my absolute adoration of all things Boxwood and tailored small space gardens. And boy, this is spectacular.
Thank you. Thanks. We love it. It's our little haven.
And who else do we love because they did your garden?
John Fluitt.
Yes. John Fluitt at Garden Design, and Roger, our buddy Roger. They have worked with you for years.
Absolutely.
And here's a little piece of trivia. Sammy went to high school with Stuart's mom in Midwest City, and
Bombers.
and this all came out while we were visiting one day over coffee in this absolutely divine space in her backyard. Eminently charming, eminently livable, eminently beautiful, and ever expressive of the personalities of both you and your husband Van, who is also.
Oh, he loves it. He's the one that manicures, and he loves this. He's very earthy. So I give it all to you, John, everyone who's helped, and Van.
Well, it's absolutely incredible, but definitely your taste and sensibilities permeate every square inch of both this outdoor space and also her indoor space, which when you get back from your travels and I get back from my travels, we are going to film for you. You will absolutely love it. Thank you.
That's my forte. I like that too.
Yes, thank you, my dear.
Thank you so
we're going to
much,
let you go back inside.
Thank
You've
you,
got
honey.
some things going, and I
Absolutely.
guess I'll just take it from here.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, honey.
Stuart, let's do it. Well, I love visiting gardens like this because they give me so many ideas for my own garden. Now, this one is actually a smaller template than even mine, but it is very, very tailored. It's very manicured, and it very much mimics the kind of style that I like, as I mentioned earlier, with lots of clipped boxwood and punctuations of container gardens with color. So, Stuart, if you would, I'm going to let you kind of come off of the porch area and look at this spectacular side garden. Now, this is a brilliant solution if you have a narrow side garden and you are looking for ways to make it compelling to plant some things, but also in no way detracting from its practicality and its accessibility. So you can see that this is probably, I am going to say, 4.5 feet, Stuart? This area here, maybe 4.5 feet. And then there are these what are these called? Railroad ties here, and then it goes up on another level where there is more greenery, more foundational plantings. And this gives it dimension, it gives it a beautiful layering feel, but again, it's very, very practical to move from the front side garden, and you can see even up here how accessible her trash cans are and things, to the front. And then when you come back here, it becomes a garden. I love the fact that she has done this, it's just so attractive. This combo of flagstone with gravel. You guys know I'm a huge fan of it. It's really, really a wonderful thing to, technique to utilize here in Oklahoma because of our difficulties in erratic temperature swings and things like that. But I also love the fact that it gives texture, it gives movement, and it gives dimension to small spaces like this. So on the upper level, We have some Elaeagnus, we've got some tree peonies, some perfectly trimmed boxwood cloves. It looks really incredible. Another tree peony, and then at the end, a miniature little cedar elm, some kind of elm, but it's absolutely adorable, and I think that I need one of those. And then she's also got some I would say restrained but very effective in their simplicity garden ornaments here. A beautiful trough filled with what is still happy yellow Irish moss and golden Irish moss, maybe it's Scotch moss, and also a little piece of iron sculpture that kind of picks up on this brilliant idea here. There are two statement pieces of arched rebar right here that frames what is encapsulated within the frame, and you can see it as a perfect focal point framing the view outside this window. Something very simple but very, very striking. The radius is identical on both pieces of rebar, and on the rebar she is growing a variegated porcelain berry vine, and it's really, really spectacular. The berries on it have not transformed yet into their very distinctive blue color, porcelain blue color. It's absolutely beautiful. It can be, in some ways, it can get a little bit out of hand, but in this confined area, it's the perfect application for it. And she keeps it beautifully tamed, or Van does, and beautifully trimmed up from the base, exposing the architecture of the vine itself. Yeah, it's really magnificent. And imagine what this space would look like without this rebar and what it looks like with the rebar. So talk about something relatively inexpensive and a brilliant component that you could add to your own garden. And it looks magnificent not only when you are head on looking at it from this perspective, but also if you are looking down the long view. Yeah, the long view from either end, from this end to the other end, from south to north. So a small garden need not lack a certain spectacular quality. She even has not only some robust hosta in here, but look, there's a little tiny bird bath. It doesn't look, and a little stool. It doesn't look cluttered. It looks very clean. It looks very neat, but it is just packed fully with tons of personality. Now, let's just kind of move on and go to another garden room. Well, let me give you some perspective and some orientation from inside out. So this goes into their kitchen. This wonderful little patio off of their kitchen is simply divine. It is enclosed. There's a wonderful roof over it. All of the trim is painted to match the trim of the rest of the house. And this can also be completely enclosed because they have operational blinds that come down on each side. So this could be completely closed off if indeed they want to make this another room that's kind of a fusion of being indoors and outdoors. Nice place to sit and have your coffee in the morning. She's got a sideboard here with some of her favorite magazines, an ice bucket. It's just a wonderful little composition, still life. I'm going to imagine that she often sets up her bar outside when she is entertaining in this way.
I like this modern bar set's kind of cool.
Yeah, the modern bar set is really cool. And she, like me, she loves rattan. So
and it matches too.
Yeah, and it matches.
Oh yeah,
the matches too. Yeah. And then if you go this way, then it just intersects with the path that goes around to the front. So many great outdoor living ideas in a very, very small space that nevertheless has multiple garden rooms. So this then opens up onto a path that enters this magnificent pergola. Now, Stuart, let's insert some footage right here. I'm just going to stop talking for a minute and let's rewind. Let's go back in time and put a segment of our previous visit here with the former pergola, and you can kind of see what this area looked like. How many years ago was that? 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, around, between 2, 3, 4 years in that range.
And when you see the footage, you'll think, oh, that looks so perfect. Why would they ever change it? Well, they changed it because it had been there for a long time, and over time, structures like the previous pergola that was here, it began to rot, it began to have some structural integrity issues, and they needed to replace it with this magnificent structure that is a combination of steel and wood. You'll notice that they did reuse some magnificent fixtures that were in place before.
They're cool.
And just other things that you may recognize. But let's stop right here. Let's put in some sections of that previous garden tour, and then we'll be back after we kind of go back in time.
It's not necessarily low maintenance, but by the same token, you don't have any lawn to mow.
No.
You don't overseeding. You don't have any of that.
Not at all. We did, when we first moved here, of course, and the trees were all not mature, we had grass all in the whole backyard. The entire backyard was grass. And then as the trees grew, as they do, then we took it all out and said, okay, we're going to put it, and I love flagstone. I love flagstone.
Yes,
and the pea
yes.
gravel. Any of that, I've always been a fan of that. I've always loved it. And so we took it all out, bye-bye grass, and low maintenance other than all the trimming. We have to keep this nice and pristine and trimmed because it's such a small garden. And
Well, it being a small garden makes it manageable.
it does.
It helps you actually relate to the garden in a very personal way, and I find it therapeutic and really cathartic, especially now, to be able to come outside and do some of your own work. So I want to make sure that Stuart, this needs to be our thumbnail for this video, because this vista and these garden rooms, sometimes I think small gardens lend themselves to making small garden rooms more even than large gardens.
I think so too. I mean,
So it is just, it's just wonderful, but I'm getting ahead of myself because I want to point out another brilliantly sculpted tree, this Crimson Queen Japanese maple. And you seldom, or at least I seldom see them this large.
Is that right?
Yes, normally the ones I see are a little bit smaller. So look at the way this is contorted and has
I love it.
a very
It's my
Asian
favorite.
quality
it's my
about
favorite.
it.
It's my, as John and I were saying, and Van, my husband, we were saying that's Sammy's tree. Don't touch it. So, but we've had to have it trimmed on this side because it's all fanning out toward the sunlight that way. But I as you said, I love the contorting part of it, and it's just so interesting to me. And but I didn't think it was going to get that big actually, but
Well,
I don't think it'll get much bigger.
But it's got this umbrella shape to it, and I bet when morning light comes through these leaves and the shadows it creates must just be magical.
It is beautiful. And then I like to go around and walk around it too, because in the fall, it would turn colors. And that portion out coming from that direction, it's just beautiful. The colors are so pretty and magnificent.
And look at this. Is that not just adorable?
I don't think they've found that yet.
Just adorable. And look at these. Look at just your really unique garden art.
That's just magnificent. Is there a story behind these?
There is a story behind that, and that is, I think we all know Janis Joplin. We remember Janis Joplin. All right, this is her sister and her husband that live here in Oklahoma City, and her husband made those.
Oh.
And they are a sweet little garden shop that had to close their doors a couple of years ago. She retired, a Wilshire Garden Market, and she sold these, and they were on, they were hanging. She had some that were, sit-abouts, and they were just sitting, big sculptures.
Oh, wow.
They're just beautiful. But
Well, I used to do workshops at Carol's at Wilshire Garden Market,
yes, you
and
did.
I don't remember
that.
seeing these, or I think I would have had to snag some.
Oh, boy.
But I love the fact that you've got them hanging in threes, and I love the story that with Janis Joplin. That's just incredible.
It just makes you happy, and I just think all of the way he has put all the different notches in there,
and it kind of matches. You've got some little violas, some blue violas over there, and I just love that color.
You can tell I like blue and I like purple,
and it just looks beautiful. There's so much to see. Okay, Stuart, what is this?
This is an antique rain barrel.
That is just unbelievable.
Rain would go in here, and I don't know, I think it's about 100 years old.
Oh my gosh, and what is this?
Oh,
this looks like a whiskey jug.
They have a lot of those. I picked that up in Europe, and they have a lot of those all over Europe, and as well as here.
So maybe a wine.
It's
a wine jug.
Wine jug.
And I love the fact that this matches, and that you've got them in a protected area off of your porch with a charming little sitting area here. You've got some wire vines, some Muhlebeckia in here, and this porch. So this is stamped concrete.
It is, and it was much more brilliant, of course. But as it's faded out, I kept thinking, maybe I should stamp it again and have it more brilliant, but I kind of like the weathered.
I like it.
You do?
Oh, yes, I love it weathered.
I like the weathered look.
And you're framed, as we go back into the garden, you're framed by pots filled with succulents and ivy, and I love it. Tell me about these over here.
Those aren't true antiques, actually. They're new. And if I may, they're from Ethan Allen.
Really?
They were in my house at one point, in my husband's office. And then I started, just thinking about how great they'd look out here. Just a little added, rustic touch. So we put those.
What was their original intention? Just ornament?
Not sure.
Just
I think so. I don't know if they were actually
door knockers or
I'm
something.
not sure if they were supposed to be. They're new. They're not true antiques, but I don't know if they were really like some type of a pulley, back in.
Well, they also have kind of a Western vibe to them, a wagon wheel vibe.
I think so too.
So then, okay, the pergola is just incredible. So I was telling you that after you were on the horticultural tour, that I put some video and also some stills up of this pergola, which is one of the most liked stills I've put on Instagram ever. I love these flame-filled lanterns.
Pretty. I like those.
They're
a lot.
just
We love them.
spectacular.
They just make you happy, and we keep them on all the time, actually, and just enjoy them so much.
And then about 1 million people are going to ask us, what vine is this growing up around the pergola?
Well, that is a woolly morning glory, and they are incredible. They just grow. You can almost see them grow an inch each night. They're just so fast growing, but they love the heat. And once, we'll plant them, and you can see all the little areas, we had those cut out, the circles there in
Uh-huh.
the patio, and so we planted it. I bet they're not any taller than a foot, and they're planted in May, and then actually in June, when the weather starts to get warmer, they love the heat, and so they really start taking off.
So they're an annual.
They're an
so you
annual.
plant them every year.
Yes, they're an annual, and darn it, because we're going to lose them here pretty soon.
Pretty soon, but
Pretty soon, but the leaves are beautiful, and what I love also about them is I love the branches. It's
Yes.
almost like velvet, and they wrap themselves around. See how it's twisted around?
The contortion of it.
Yes, and I just love how they just, and you know, we just keep tacking them. We use little nails, and we just keep training it to go up
Up and over. And look, it's the perfect color. It's a perfect color match.
Well, I hadn't noticed that. You would notice.
To your, isn't it just marvelous?
It
Do they
is.
bloom? Do they bloom?
They usually bloom this year, but it's usually at the very end of this season.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't see any blooms on them, and we'll only get a bloom like maybe 2 weeks, and it's usually right up at the top.
And what
they-
color is it?
It's kind of a purple.
Is
it's
it?
a very faint, kind of a violet color.
Well, this is so spectacular.
I love
I would not mind if it never bloomed because it's really just spectacular.
I think it's just all about the leaves
And
the
then
coverage.
you can just see she was talking about creating planting pockets at the base of the posts, and just one plant, it looks like.
One
per-
actually. No,
Is it
I
just
think we
one?
did two. We
Two,
did two.
okay, there's
plants,
two,
Two
okay.
plants per circle.
Well, it just frames it gloriously for a morning glory, for a woolly morning
It's just so
glory.
pretty,
And
yes.
then you've got additional string lighting in here. What a wonderful place to sit
just
and
love it.
dine, have breakfast, and you're on a golf course.
We are on a golf course, and we get to enjoy all those beautiful trees out there as well, and space. You know, we have a nice lot because we can enjoy
Yes.
those huge trees out there, you know, far enough away where we don't feel like we're, you know, claustrophobic by
Right.
any means, and we can just enjoy the.
And you feel a little bit like
solitude.
you're in the country, and you can
You
see
really
the
do.
coloring as the fall leaves start to turn. And happily, you've got a red oak right here that looks like two of them maybe. Is that an oak? It's hard for me to tell.
This one right here
that
is
a
an
maple?
October
Glory.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay.
That's an October Glory, and then of course that beautiful magnolia. Look at the size
Oh,
of that
my
one.
gosh.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's
And I thought it was going to be a small type, but
Uh-huh.
it's not.
But it's not. Yeah.
turned
Well,
out
it is just brilliant, and a nice evergreen structure to have there in the corner, and you feel very framed in. And then we've got just your classic, just a cedar tree down there to give you some added privacy.
privacy.
And I bet the birds love it.
Oh yes, they do. They love it. And then of course the squirrels, they like everything.
They, yeah, sadly they do like it. Yes,
They like it all.
They like everything, and you're kind of flanked in boxwood in both pots and in the beds with more of the mondo grass. You've got a separate ancillary seating area over here. You feel, again, not at all confined or claustrophobic because you can see through the wrought iron fence. You can see
lots of
through
space.
all of the trees because of the way you've got them sculpted. You can even see through the pergola.
Well,
So-
we were going to put a roof on it, and I'm so glad we didn't because it would have darkened the
Yes.
whole area, and it would have darkened inside of the house. So I'm glad that we did keep that open.
And it would have also really affected what you could grow underneath it.
Yes.
Because I'm sure this morning glory,
Well, and I have to tell you a little story too. When we first moved in, and this was actually 20 years ago, and it really was country. I mean, it was the end of the road was it was a dirt road, and now
my.
you can see
Yeah.
on Covell, it's just huge. But there was nothing out here at all. We had one little tree. And so we called Garden Design Associates, John Flewitt, and he said, okay, we'll drop some. We drew up 3 plans, and we picked from one particular plan and decided on that. And so we had decided, okay, we'll just do this in stages. And so I went to work, Van went to work, it was a weekday, and he said, the crew's coming out, and so we'll probably be home, gone by 5 when you get home. And I came home, got home about 5:30, and I couldn't wait to get to see what they had done. And he put the whole yard in, all at once.
Oh my gosh.
And I just
started crying immediately.
I was like, no, there's no way. This is, and then of course I called John, and he just started laughing. And I said, you are such a little.
He is a little elf. John, we adore John, don't we?
He is something else, and so talented. And then, but now it's changed a lot from the initial. Not a lot, but anyway, we just started enjoying the backyard right off.
Well, and as a garden should, it should evolve over time. And Stuart, you can kind of show the pathway that goes back and runs parallel to the golf course with a lovely sidewalk and a walking path. And
a different perspective every.
It really is.
Areas.
And we'll meet Stuart back over here in this secondary garden room, again flanked by boxwood. And I love the way this is pruned, how it's I don't really know how it's slanted at the top and narrower at the top.
And the way he taught us on that is because the reason being that it will help fill out the bottom
to get
portion.
Light at the bottom portions. That's just wonderful. We've got some spotted leopard plant here, a charming water feature surrounded by flagstone, more of your cherished hydrangeas back here, and some hellebores, some violas. So you have a lot of room for both seasonal color, but very much that signature trademark that I adore of lots of just green on green with little flashes of color versus just large expanses of annuals. This is so soothing.
I was telling Stuart when we first moved here also, you could probably, this was a hot tub at one point. And so we used it a lot. And our grandchildren were all teeny tiny, and they thought it was a swimming pool, of course. So we enjoyed it for probably 10 years, and then it kept breaking, and the kids got older, and we didn't use it. So this is what we did.
A wonderful example of how a garden can evolve and change with its owners over time, and how you can rethink a water feature and recommunicate it. The breeze through here is lovely. You can hear her collection of wind chimes. She's even got enough space for a perennial bed in here. We've got some angelonia, some comeflower, a huge pot of plumbago, some tendenscontia, some more mondo grass, some sedum autumn joy. What am I missing in here? It's just, and all in that kind of signature kind of bluish gray foliage that so matches your house. I just love it.
Well, thank you. It's a happy garden right now.
It's very happy.
And
it's very
looks like
happy.
We're catching it right at the right time too, because I guess we're going to change here in about another week.
Yes, in another week. So whenever you guys are watching this, it is October 21st today.
21st.
So we have yet to have a hard freeze. So a lot of this stuff is still very happy, but it could not be more beautiful out here. I just noticed another fabulous color echo. All of your grayish blues, and then how they mimic the color on the juniper berries.
Oh yes, I see that. I hadn't thought of that before now, but yes.
I love the way it communicates. other really massive boulders with wonderful lichens, more Indian hawthorn, lots of ferns and things that wave and create movement. Another beautiful Japanese maple over here with some smaller orbs.
Little orbs.
And then,
And I just let those, as you can tell, I don't paint them or anything. I just let
No.
those go natural.
that makes, we pay extra for that, for age stuff.
Right.
And then another seating area over here, if you get a little bit chilly in the shade, you can come over here where it's a little sunnier and
Private little nook.
more succulents, potted evergreens. Is this a Hicksayou, do you know?
Yes. That's a U.
I am so going to have to copy this. Stuart, remind me. I've taken away many things from this garden before, but here's another one. I want a large Hicksayou, beautifully pruned in a conical shape, and then against the shiny, glossy foliage. And I love the trains in the background.
Oh my gosh. Yes, they're here. They are here.
And this magnificent magnolia over here. And you're not sure the cultivar on this?
I am not sure.
But
on
it is
that.
just wonderful. It's very columnar and wonderful visual weight on the corner of the property.
And I think we're all kind of different in that in one aspect with having to do with trees, and I'm always having them come out and trim our trees. And I'm one that I don't particularly like my trees touching. I like it
Open.
a little bit open, and I probably because the yard is small,
Right.
and I like the light to come in. But I think it's interesting how you talk to different people, and some they like that overgrowth with, kind of more like an umbrella effect, and then some
Just
don't,
like the distinction. Well, it gets more light down in here. If they were both the same kind of tree, you might want them to
would
meet.
be-
But since they're two different specimens, maybe not. So I cannot thank you enough for
Well,
showing
thank
us
you,
your
Linda.
magical spot.
It was my pleasure. I just love you, and I appreciate you so much, and all your input.
Well,
It means the world to me.
it's
really
just wonderful. It's one of my favorite gardens in Oklahoma City. Actually, I should say we're not even in Oklahoma City. We're in Edmond, which is a suburb of Oklahoma City. It's where a period of my growing up years, I grew up in Edmond.
Is that right?
And it's just nice to visit and catch up with
thank
old
you.
friends. Thank you,
thank
Sammy.
you so much, Linda. It's my pleasure. Now we get to go have tea. hopefully.
Yes, yes. Well, it was magnificent before, no question. It is even more magnificent now. I think this structure is a little bit more elegant. It is certainly more durable, but it looks very, very consonant and harmonious and consistent with the house and these outdoor spaces. So, Stuart, if you would come and stand where I'm standing. So again, we give you an orientation to how each space leads into each other space. So if you turn around, then over here you have the small patio area that I was talking about. If I go to the right, there is a path, a flagstone path that is bordered in mondo grass that goes around this way and into the fountain room. You can see some hydrangeas there, a ginkgo, some fern, just all sorts of things. And then before we go to the fountain area, Stuart, let's show everyone how this then comes off from this side via the same kind of flagstone patio. It is directly across from the other path that goes up the side garden. And in this corner, there are some wonderful plantings of oak leaf hydrangea, some cutleaf spirea, more clipped boxwood in conical shapes. We're under a brilliant Yopon holly. And there's a maple tree over here that's kept beautifully trimmed. I believe that's a maple with just some miniature nandina along the wrought iron fence. So it all so smoothly, in a stream-like way, one space connects to the other. And then at the entry point into the pergola, we've got a fabulous oleander in a pot with a fabulous clay cloche, and then again a different scale, but some rock at the base.
Just ahead.
So, and just ahead, yeah, and just ahead. That's a John Fluitt, yeah, that's just a John Fluitt thing. Now, as a point of inspiration, when they were doing some subtle changes to this back garden, she was very inspired by Klaus Dalby's Container Garden book, and she really wanted to incorporate more containers with color, and they did that brilliantly. I can see back in here some Lenten rose and some different things. But back to the pergola area, a really spacious dining area where they can entertain. I myself have sat underneath this brilliant overhang and enjoyed coffee and wine. It's really wonderful. And then I believe this is new.
Yes.
So it is new?
Yes.
Okay, so they added a tiny little kitchen area that has both a grill and it looks like a warming oven, and an area and a surface upon which to prepare foods and such. And oh, Stuart, I recognize some of these wonderful candles. I know she got these in Santa Fe because I have gotten some myself. Santa Rosa candles. Was just looking at these in Santa Fe. I have a massive one. And so this area is very compact. It's very, I can't use the word functional enough. And it connects just effortlessly and beautifully to the dining area that has a fabulous macrophylla hydrangea that beautifully echoes the color of the cushions.
And those are larger foliage on that, right?
Yes, these are larger.
That's the difference.
And these look like they might be a florist hydrangea.
Those are just so neat.
Macrophylla, macrophylla. And then this comes over here with a slight grade change on a large piece of flagstone, again embedded in more mondo grass. And it comes down here to the fountain area. That is, I guess, punctuated on each corner with what looks to be some carex, some everilla, I believe it's everilla, this really kind of grassy component here, carex salata or sedge, and it just looks beautiful, I think. Again, with the same gravel in different scale, different size that communicates with all of the other gravel in the area. And then this is the path up from the other angle.
What's this guy?
This is Tradescantia, and spiderwort. That's its common name, spiderwort. I used to have some that was in a chartreuse color. It can really get overly aggressive, but right here it's a perfect application of its use in this area, and it's doing beautifully here. And she's got a hydrangea. She's got another, I bet this is a hydrangea too. I bet this might be this, yes, I'm gonna guess this is, yes.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Can you make a
Yes.
hydrangea just like you
Yes.
can a snowball into
Yes.
a tree?
Yes, you can topiary you can topiary a hydrangea. And I'm going to guess this might be a really large limelight hydrangea, though it might be another variety.
You just blew my mind.
But it's absolutely beautiful. It's spectacular.
And now you know I want to see that, right?
And now you want to see that. Let's see if it's got any little buds. I don't see buds yet, and I'll have to confirm that that's what it is with Sammy, but it's beautiful. She's got a whole skirt of this sweet alyssum that is really dear and flouncy at the base of this boxwood. This is a green mountain boxwood, and this area here has been trimmed, not unlike the potager, the way I used to keep the potager trimmed at my former home. And this is wintergreen boxwood. You talk about romancing the ordinary. All of these plants are a lot of these plants are rather ordinary, but they are used in such inventive ways that it just makes for a spectacular still life and a spectacular tableau. This is just Manhattan euonymus that's been trained back to a profile. It's on a wood trellis here, and yet it can really handle the strong sunlight here. It's completely devoid of any sign of scale or powdery mildew. It's been brilliantly taken care of. I bet Van takes care of that. And then we've got more fern in here. I see some evidence of maybe some Russian sage. And then that path comes out into this area here, which is what she calls her container garden. And again, this was inspired by Klaus Dalby's book, Container Gardens. I'll put a link to it below. Stuart, let's try to put a little picture of it up right here, my friend Klaus. And these are really, really large concrete pots that I believe were sourced by my friends John and Roger. And she's got some of them elevated on concrete plinths, not only here, but in key areas around the garden, because if you come out from underneath the pergola, you can see there's a large pot here. And note that most of her containers are very large, and they contain not only seasonal color, but they contain specimens of evergreens that are here in the winter as well as the summer to give winter interest. A beautiful crimson queen, Japanese maple. She's got a little herb pot down there. I spy some mint and some thyme.
That's how you keep it all in one place.
That's how you keep it all in one place. She's got thyme growing in between some of her pavers. There's different kinds of succulents growing around the base of her pots, and also some in the ground, different textural components. She's got a tight color palette here of pink, blue, and white, a similar color palette to what I use at the cottage in the front yard. But this is a great idea of having succulents planted at the base of your plants. Make sure they've got really good drainage. Here's some more. She's relying heavily on pentas, angelonia, plumbago, and I imagine she'll have to probably replace the alyssum with something else once it gets a little bit hotter. But some of this is protected, as are these geraniums, under the overhang of a beautiful shade tree. And then this comes over here to yet another garden room. If you round the bend, she's got one of these fabulous Stuart's favorite plants here, a Chinese snowball viburnum, and we were just talking about pruning it up into a small tree that arches over the space instead of a large shrub.
Which I'll have to show them here.
Which you'll have to show them here. And a magnificent, I don't know if this is sum and substance, but wow, just a magnificent hosta.
Big guy.
Very happy here. She's got some vinca minor, some more of the ground cover. And this is a brilliant use of different ground covers, you guys. Brilliant use of the mondo grass, and then more garden furnishings over here that if you wanted to sit in this beautiful area, it overlooks a fabulous green space and trail that links up to the golf course. Links up, do you get that? Links up to the golf course. Yes. Stuart's telling me I have
I'm doing
my
what you want me to do.
Yeah, my calic is acting up. There's no good hair day today because it's so exceptionally humid. Over here, she did what I did at the cottage, and she's got kind of a wall of Nellie Stevens holly by a brilliantly pruned magnolia tree.
Oh wow, that is huge.
And she's got a juniper over here and another magnolia. And then in this corner, she's got some hydrangeas. She's got some more spirea. She's got another tree peony and more boxwood that kind of are up here hugging the Harry Lauder's walking stick.
Oh wow.
Something contorta. That's my question of the day. I can't remember the botanical name, something contorta, but it looks like it's called Harry Lauder's walking stick. I used to have one of these at the old garden, and it's just a curiosity, a fun curiosity.
I love how delightfully awkward it is.
Yes, it just is kind of, well, it's just whimsical.
We can't find the word.
And then there's some sedum autumn joy there, and some more euonymus.
Another
And I mean everything, and
always
this is
weeding.
always weeding. But this is probably one of the most manicured gardens I've ever been in, and I have never been here when it was not like this. Now Van does a lot of the gardening here, but she also gets help, as I do, from our mutual friend Victor, who helps her prune the boxwood, and it's nice to have a helper because I used to do all the boxwood pruning at the other house myself, and now I don't have as much time. So it's done by hand. So it's very, very helpful to have someone in your corner who can do it when you cannot. And that's a wonderful thing.
How many years did you mow your yard over there?
Oh, got mow my yard and edged all and pruned all of that boxwood. Yes, for let's say 27 years maybe. So the whole thing, if you could just maybe even step back, Stuart, and let's just get a wide shot of this area so you have a good idea of how everything fits into place. And we'll take a break here, and then I want to go around to the front to show you again the context in which her home resides and some brilliant and innovative solutions for spaces that she's got in her front yard surrounding her drive. Now the front yard is really small, but again, ingenious use of a lot of boxwood, which is why I think Sammy calls it the Boxwood house. She said as soon as we leave, she's going to count just how many boxwood she has, and I thought we need to have a competition between herself and myself to see just which one of us has the most. Hers are definitely more mature because she's been in this house for, how long did she say, 25 years?
I think it was
27 years, so a pretty long time. So her boxwoods are mature, but I just love the way they kind of flow together in different geometric shapes. I love this wrought iron sign. Isn't it spectacular?
And it just ties in with everything else too.
And then just simple gravel mulch that just flows up here with some statement making boulders and boulders that surround another Yopon holly, and then again romancing the ordinary of boxwood, Roman Yopon holly, Nandina domestica that just comes up.
Well, I just now noticed a little rock, like it's a rock area in
surround.
The area. Yeah.
Right, and it gives different levels and dimensions. She's got some nepeta here, and then one of these magnificent large bird baths that we have seen at John's. And what's wonderful about it is its massive size.
Yeah.
And it makes it so appropriate in this space with this little drift of mondo grass around it. But just imagine how much less impactful it would be if it were small, if it were just like 12 to 15 inches in diameter. This is absolutely massive, and because of that, it really makes a statement. And then she's just got more evergreens up here.
He probably drank some of those bottles, right?
I have no idea. Actually,
He
not.
said the blue bottles.
No, actually not. This is an artisan that they use.
Oh, okay.
And so it was that artisan who consumed whatever was in those bottles. And then it goes all the way up here with concrete balls, just mass, the simple elegance of one type of plant, one color of plant in really, really large pots, some topiary, and just another lovely seating area on this wonderful aged cobblestone front porch that leads around to the back where she's got some clematis growing.
Guard dog.
Guard dog.
I want to show them these faces.
And more faces staring out at you.
That's so delightful.
So nice porch moments. I love the way instead of small gravel, she's used large rocks to mulch her massive planters. And then, just so people can kind of get an idea, Stuart, let's just kind of show them the garage. So go around this way in a slow pan. More boxwood, of course. Growing underneath the profile of these massive, massive shutters.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And then there is the garage door. And then over this way, she really wanted to point out this new addition on the north side of the house with, again, great execution of romancing the ordinary, common plants, liriope, boxwood, Indian hawthorn, Chinese hollies, oak leaf hydrangeas. But then all of these set off with this wonderful entryway here of stone with copper finials, stone and wood fencing that then gives you entry into what goes into the backyard. And so with that, Stuart, we have come full circle. I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful small garden tour today, one of my favorites in Oklahoma City. It is just, I think, it just does the best of kind of creating an English garden with different rooms, each one as interesting as the next in a very small space. And let's end on the marvelous, marvelous bark.
Oh, wow. How did I not see that until right now?
Of this fabulous tree.
Okay, I'm going to ask, even though we're ending, why does it do that?
Because it's just Mother Nature doing its thing. Why, I don't know, and I'm not even sure I know what kind of tree it is. I don't think it's a Chinese pistache, but whatever it is, it's magnificent. The bark is magnificent. The whole garden is magnificent, as is Sammy for letting us come over and take this tour of her garden. Okay, now that I stepped away for a moment, it comes to me what it is. It's a lacebark elm grown because of its just absolutely fabulous peeling and spectacular bark. I think I didn't recognize it because so often they do not get this large in Oklahoma. This is one of the largest I have ever seen. And thankfully, it has never been brought low by an ice or a windstorm. So absolutely magnificent. I'll be curious to see if I check with the OSU Extension Center if it's still a recommended tree for Oklahoma, because it truly is magnificent. Well, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. In Oklahoma, there's only 2 seasons. There's before the heat and there's after the heat. And we have definitely, I think, entered the 2nd season. It's supposed to get up in the 90s today, Stuart. So we're going to shoot some stuff before it gets too hot. But in addition to outside work, I'm going to trim some boxwoods. I'm going to show you some additional plants that I'm going to be planting and plant some containers. But as a real surprise, we're going to go over to my friend John Turman's garden. We're going to take a walk around and see if he has any new blue additions in the way of garden ornaments, but also I know he has revived some of his planting areas. So what do you say, Stuart? Let's get cracking before it really gets too hot.
Indeed.
Okay, Stuart, what do you say we trim some boxwood? In one of our previous videos, so many of you asked if I would show how I prune off winter burn off of my boxwood balls and also summer burn for later in the season when some of the outside foliage can really get scorched. But beforehand, I thought it might be valuable for me to show you, especially because it's getting ready to be Mother's Day and these make brilliant Mother's Day gifts ideas. My indispensable things for when I prune boxwood. First and foremost are these iconic Barnell pruners. I love them. We'll put a link in the description below. They're a little bit pricey, but I promise you they are worth every cent. These little fine tips at the end make it really good for reaching down into the foliage of the boxwood. Secondly, the other iconic product that I always have shown on my YouTube channels for years and years, on channel 4 for years and years, is this Works lightweight battery operated blower. Because after you prune, this helps you clean up any of those little leaves. We will put a link below. And by the way, this would just make a brilliant Mother's Day gifts. You can go to lindavater.com and you can just click on the Mother's Day links, Mother's Day gift ideas, and it will have the links to all of these products. Thirdly, and one that Stuart, I'm getting Susu for Mother's Day.
Very
Stuart's
cool.
mom, and that's this lightweight metal Blue Bara metal hose. It does not kink. Again, it's very lightweight. I am told it can warm up in the sun, so I'm going to make sure to take measures to mitigate that. But I absolutely love it so far. Stuart, should I spray you to hose you down?
It's up to you.
Since it's kind of warm out. But those are just 3 items that I think would be brilliant for Mother's Day, and I have found them to just be indispensable working in the garden over the years. If you are new to this channel, and if you are, you know what I'm going to say. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, make sure to share with others that you think might like this content, send them the link, and that's that spiel. Now to the task at hand. This boxwood ball is one that I brought from the other house. It's been in the back until in storage, kind of in boxwood inventory, before I planted it here in this boxwood village along the porch. So you can see, unlike these that were already here in the landscape, this one has some brown tips. Stuart, we might get a close-up of that.
Okay.
So you can really see how these tips have been burned. And probably also the last time that I pruned this, it might be that my pruners were not sharp enough. Now, the brown foliage on the outside of this could be much worse than it is. This is more just along the edge. But the same principle would hold true if the entire leaf was also browned and had winter burn. And all I'm going to do is just really the same practice that I would do if I were pruning it. And that's that I am just going along and I'm pruning off the outside sections that are brown. So you can see here, see where that's really brown like that? Well, I'm not getting a good angle here. Sometimes it's more about the angle than it is about the shears. There. Let's try this here. And sometimes I can reach in there and really just get the outer edge because these are rather large and I don't want to take off too much of their girth. Okay, look here, Stuart. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So in here, there is a whole branch that's dead. Now I could use hand pruners and I could reach in there and prune that out, but with these sharp tips, it just works beautifully. I just reach in there with the tips and I prune them out.
Well done.
Well done. Great dexterity. And then I'm just going to proceed down the oval. And by the way, it's been my experience that when you are forming a boxwood ball, what really gives it that spherical shape is typically the foliage along the bottom. I don't know why this one angle is messing with me, Stuart, but it kind of is. There we go. That's a pretty dramatic clip right there. You see how that tip can just sneak in there underneath those branches?
I can see it better now, yeah.
Can you see that? And remember that pruning encourages bushiness. So this will encourage this to flush out all in new growth. Not unlike these in the foreground, which have all sorts of new growth on them. Again, because those didn't need to get established. Those had been in this landscape previously and planted by the former owners. So here you can see I can reach in again there. You have to do a little bit, put in a little bit more elbow grease to get those out. And then if it breaks the form, I just clip it off again. Stuart, is that making sense?
I think so.
I'm really working in the glare of the sun today. We attempted to do this earlier, and then we had a couple technical difficulties.
Sent Stuart to 3 stores.
Okay, so there you go. And I can come back a little bit later when the light isn't quite so harsh, because not only is it maybe hard for you to see, but it's kind of hard for me to see too when I'm staring right into that sun. There is another dead branch right there that I'm going to go for because I've got to kind of scratch that itch. You should have, I guess, done it before and after, Stuart.
I think they kind of got to see it.
Yeah, okay. There. The other additional thing that I like about reaching down into the ball, into the center of the boxwood ball, is because that allows light to penetrate into the shrub, and then you're not just getting like a veneer of foliage and boxwood leaves. You are allowing light to get in there so the interior puts out some foliage too. So does that give people an idea?
I think so.
Of how you clip off any kind of dead wood? And obviously on some, it's going to be more severe on one side or the other. And so all you can do is either root prune and take the plant out, or you can just try to work with it and reestablish its form over time. And typically, unless the plant is just really stressed and almost dead and almost completely brown, I just leave it in place to recover on its own and give it a little extra TLC. And one more thing before I go inside with today's harvest, I want to give you all a heads up that on May 21st at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, we're going to do our next LV Live. We'll be giving away a pair of one of my favorite brands of boots, high C boots. So be there or be square. And also, of course, if you are not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. Give us a big enthusiastic thumbs up, comment below, and also make sure that if you know of others who might enjoy this kind of gardening content, make sure to share with them. Well, what do you say we plant up some containers, starting with the concrete urns that are on the front steps coming up to my front porch. It's time to get rid of those cool season annuals, the pansies and the violas, and put in some things that can really take the summer heat and summer sun. Oh, but let me point out, before we get started, I want to point out this cool little storage unit that I've got here on the social patio. This can be used as an ottoman, it can be used as a coffee table, it can be used for a variety of different purposes, and in my case right now I've just got it as a little storage device. I've got some insecticidal soap in there and some other things. So I'm going to grab my favorite garden gloves, Cool Jobs. We'll make sure to put a link below. But also I'm grabbing some sunscreen. So if I haven't already put it on inside, then I definitely want to remember to put it on outside. And I'm going to spray this away from Stuart because I think I almost choked him earlier. We had to cut and start again. I thought he swallowed a bug. Okay, so I'm really, get the back of your neck and ears. And if you're balding, the top of your head. But I slather on a bunch before I come out on my face and on my neck. Okay, so I'm gonna put that back in there. I've got my garden gloves. We'll see how well Stuart can walk backwards.
Check it out. It's good.
And
like a pro.
And now stop. Just stop and let's get these things planted. So you may recall that I went to farmer's market a while back before planting the window box, and I got some annuals. And again, I'm relying more heavily on annuals this year because I'm waiting for stuff to fill in. I went to Ace Hardware, primarily because it was right up the street from me. So I try to shop at independent nurseries where I can, but all of those tend to be kind of far out, and sometimes I have to go for convenience. So I got these at Ace Hardware, and the ingredients for these urns, I love the way this is both white and yellow. So it's in my color palette and will, I think, harmonize nicely with what's in the window box. So this is called Heartland White, and I got a whole flat of that. I also got, let's see, this is some Proven Winners. This is an unusual color and kind of hard to find. So I bought some of it. This is in Luscious Grape. And I love, yeah, let me show you the tag. And I love Lantana because it not only is so tough, can handle the heat, but also the butterflies and the pollinators just absolutely love it. I've got some of this Diamond Frost Euphorbia. I may or may not put that in this composition. I'm going to kind of decide that as I proceed. I wanted something to harmonize with what I've got in the window box, and you may recall that I put a whole hanging basket of Scaviola, or AKA fan flower, in the front window box. So I'm going to repeat that with just some 4-inch pots, and I'm going to have that in here too, and I think that purple and yellow and white combo is going to be gorgeous. And then because I also want to infuse some gray, I think I'm going to add some of this Helichrysum, which is gray and trailing. And I think from a design standpoint, one thing that kind of always bothered me about these urns, even though I love the impact of the color, is they just looked a little bit, oh, I don't know, a little bit prudish, a little too formulaic, because nothing really cascaded over the side. So I'm going to take out the pansies and the violas, and I've already harvested the Swiss chard. and brought some of it inside. I did that on our Wednesday walkabout. And I'll salvage some of this depending on, but look at how root bound that is. So I'm going to take that out. That will go in my compost tumbler in the back a little bit later. I'll loosen up this soil and kind of look at the quality. See, look at that. That's really root bound. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out. And I got new soil. I'll leave a little bit in there because none of it is diseased or has any kind of pests. And I'm going to use just some moisture control Miracle Grow. Now I typically, again, I like to use things that are organic, but I'm not going to be really slavish about it because I just don't have that luxury. A lot of times I just have to go with what I can find, and it depends on what they have where I am, because so much of it is about convenience for me. The other reason is sometimes, this is one of the things, Hubs doesn't help me in the garden, but he runs great errands. And so I'll ask him to pick up a couple of bags of potting soil, and sometimes it's whatever he can find. So I try not to be too particular on that score. So let's do this. I'm gonna just, again, this soil I think is gonna be okay. The rest will be fresh soil, and it's not gonna take a whole lot. And typically, you'll notice these will not have drip irrigation in them, because normally I find I tend to be, and this isn't a good thing, but I tend to be an overwaterer. So on my container plants that need more water, and these aren't huge, ideally these pots would be larger, because the larger they are, the less frequently I have to water them. But I know that I'm going to be watering these a lot, and so I just don't think a drip would do it. Plus, I don't want any drip lines coming up over the top or even through the bottom, because I might want to change these out, and I want flexibility. Okay, so I've got my components here. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to, I think, let's see. I want these to be positioned so they are just a little bit lower than the brim of the pot. That way, when I water it, it won't spill out. That said, because I know there's going to be some settling of the soil, I'm going to add a little bit more. Now, this Miracle Grow already has some fertilizer in it, so I'm not going to add any time release in it. I could add some espoma biotone or whatever, but these are one of the few things that I will frequently use a liquid fertilizer on. And again, because it's in a container, I'm not quite so concerned about being 100% organic. I do what I can, but I am not an absolutist about it. So I'm going to put the lantana in place. Let's see where I want it to be. And normally, it's important for me to say that normally I don't really like mixed containers that much. I tend to like them much better where all of one thing would be in one pot, and then I would have another pot, all of one thing, and then a third pot, all of another plant. But this one, because all of these echo what's in the window box, I think it will still be effective, and I think it will be beautiful. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I am just nestling these in place, carefully positioning any of the tendrils to spill out over the side. So the orientation on these is kind of important. And then, of course, Stuart, you're down on your knees, aren't you?
Well, I had one of those situations where you put your knee down on the concrete and managed to get your
ouch,
a
yeah,
pebble right between the
right.
tip of your
Oh,
knee
that
and the
hurts.
concrete.
We suffer for our art, don't we? We suffer.
I don't think
for
the
our
camera
art.
noticed. I don't think you can be able to tell. It just hurt. That's
It
all.
just hurt. Okay. So I'm going to put another lantana in.
It's a good shot, though.
And the difference between what I had before and this composition is these will grow, get profuse, and just spill out everywhere. So the size of them and the statement that they make will be far more pronounced than the very tightly clipped profile. Stuart, if you don't mind showing them the pansies down there.
Why don't you, if I'm gonna go down there.
Okay, do I need to snap you down? Okay, well, okay, I can't snap very well in my gloves, but there you go.
One more time.
So Stuart, those pansies are what I was talking about. And see how their profile is just really tight? And I want the profile of these, the composition in totality, to be much larger and much more of a statement. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is I'm gonna plant some of this diamond frost euphorbia, which will look like a little cloud that consumes the pots and all the contents of the pots. I'm gonna put that in the middle. So you see how I'm just placing them all in their pots inside the container. This is kind of a gardening hack. Now again, you need to use your imagination of what this will look like when these are full and spilling out all over the place. So right now, I make sure that I'm gonna have pretty much, I don't have to be extremely fastidious about making sure that they're all identical. In other words, the same number of lantana, the same number of fanflower. I do wanna make sure that I have enough so that each component pretty much has the same ingredients. So now notice, I am not taking them out of their plastic pots yet. I am just filling in around the perimeter of the pots. See here what I'm doing? Just filling in around the edges. And yes, I am being messy, but that's what we have brooms and blowers for.
That's the garden life.
That's the garden life, just like my t-shirt. And if you guys want this t-shirt, it is so comfortable and I love the color. They're in the, you can see them below, can't they, Stuart?
Yeah, they should. And if some won't show the exact shirt that you're wearing below, but they can click on that whole area and it will take them to where they are.
Yeah, just click on the area and you
available.
can design your own.
But you can pick, what kind of shirt it goes on.
Yeah, what color, what size. And actually I got this one in a small, and I kind of wish I would have gotten it in a medium because they do shrink a little bit. So just all of the voids around.
Well, the back looks good too. Let me show them the back real quick.
Okay. All of the voids that are around the pots. And I'm really making sure that I'm packing it in fairly tightly, because once it rains and with continued watering, there is going to be some settling. Now the other thing is, another reason that I'll have to fertilize these more is because the more you water, the greater the nutrients leach out of the soil. And these are going to be watered a lot. So I will also be feeding them more heavily.
Never would have thought of that.
It's two, Stuart. It's two. Okay, now, here is kind of the fun part. Make sure I've got them all each side. See, there's a little void I almost missed there.
You'd have found it.
I would have found it.
I have total confidence in you.
And doing it on a gorgeous day like today is just a gift from the gods. Especially when I can hear little neighborhood kids on the street swinging and playing outside. It's a calm day though, not a lot of people driving by, blowing the stop signs.
I can hear the dog nails hitting the concrete as it walks over there.
Really?
It's very, very calm.
Wow, it's very calm. And for those of you who followed me for a while in this evolution of the garden, you know that it can get really windy up here.
It's not always this way.
And by the way, we are going to be putting up a marathon, a video marathon of the evolution and the progress of the garden, the cottage garden on the hill. Okay, so look here, Stuart. Now, if this works as I imagine, I can lift this out.
You already have a hole.
And look there, I've already got a hole there.
Jeez.
Perfectly sized. With the exception that, see how root bound this is? I'm going to torture it a little bit. I'm a messy.
This is what you used to bang
yeah,
against the
I used to bang it
walls.
against the wall, but I
Yeah.
don't have a wall, and
Couldn't remember
so
what,
I'm going
what
to
you did that
loosen
way.
this up because I don't want these roots to grow around in circles. And yes, I am a messy gardener. If you have followed me for any length of time, you know that about me, and I don't apologize for
I would
it.
love to see a
Because
clean garden.
it's one of the ways I can get my work done. Okay, this one, did I already?
Is there such a thing as a clean gardener?
Oh, sure. There's people that are very tidy about everything they do, but I am not. I am not one of them. Okay, look here, Stuart. See over here, I have a void right there, and I can plant this wonderful helichrysum because I love the gay kind of Mediterranean vibe it gets things. It too is tough. Okay, I've got another one over here. And boy, was you should have heard me, Stuart, when I was at the hardware store and I found this color, I just squealed.
I don't doubt it.
Fortunately, there wasn't anyone around
No
to
cameras
hear
nearby.
me. Yeah, because that would have been slightly embarrassing. Okay, now for my last one. I had already taken, this is the Diamond Frost Euphorbia. You talk about a tough annual that can handle the heat, along with things like pentas and lantana and fanflower. I just love that, the simple elegance of that and how easily it drops into place. I'm going to push this down because I don't want any air pockets.
How long have you known that trick? Did you garden for a while without knowing?
Oh yeah. And you know what? Periodically, I still need to be reminded of it because I'm old
Hey, it happens.
and have memory issues.
We don't have hard drives for brains.
No, and sometimes, of course, I'm dividing up plants, and this procedure doesn't work as beautifully, but I think this is going to be simply fabulous, darling. I'm going to pinch off. See, I deadheaded on our Wednesday walkabout, and I'm going to deadhead these as I plant them.
We should shoot here more often. It's really pretty.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty spot, isn't it? And it's still not too hot in the day. I try not to break tendrils as I'm planting them, but sometimes I do, and if I do, I'll just pinch those off. Here's my question of the day. Lantana has a very distinctive smell, and not all colors and varieties smell the same. There's one that has just a fabulous, almost tropical citrus scent to it. This doesn't really. It's got a pungency that isn't maybe as pleasant as lavender, but is still, to me, seems to be in that same family. So my question of the day is, do you like the scent of lantana or not so much? And if you're a lantana lover like moi, what color is your favorite? I have found that even though I love the purples and the whites, the more pastel-y colors, they don't seem to bloom in as great a profusion sometimes as the yellows and some of those other colors. So I am going to clean up a bit as I go. And then I'm getting ready to plant this pot. Now this one has no soil in it whatsoever. And yes, there's probably ergonomically a better way I could do this, but I'm pointing towards the camera. I am pointing towards the camera. So I'm putting in a little bit down in here.
I'll get you a little better angle.
And by the way, potting soil is not the same as garden soil. So garden soil, I wouldn't, for example, dig up some stuff from my garden and put in here for a number of different reasons. So like I say, you can make your own, but I say why bother? I don't use that much potting medium, and for me it's just more convenient. And the older I get and the less time I have, the more crucial convenience is to me when I want to get a lot of things done, particularly if you're starting a new garden. So I am going to basically just copy what I did on the other side. That's a yellow one. So you can even see here, see how long these tendrils get, and the flowers are smaller than on your typical. Well, even on that other color of lantana, it blooms more profusely than this. But this does have a liveliness to it that I really love, and a bouncing kind of floating quality, which I told you was one of the elements, the design elements and the thematics I wanted to have for the cottage. So this has a romantic floating quality to it that I really like.
You want to speed them through this part?
Let's speed them through, Stuart. We've already made them suffer through the original planting, so I'll do this one rather quickly. What do you say?
Let's do it.
I have got the second one planted, and as a reminder, let's review the recipe for this container garden. I sometimes am hesitant to give you guys specific varieties of some things, because I know it's very hard quite often to find that specific variety, and I don't want you to be constrained by that or frustrated by that. Just try to go with anything that is similar, whether it's exactly the same plant, or it's a different plant, or it's the same plant in a slightly different color. Because I basically, my MO is when I go shopping for plants, it's about convenience and what I can find to get the qualities that I'm looking for. And that's why I often put words rather than the names of plants to what I'm trying to create. But I digress. So let's talk about what's in this composition. So the lantana was Heartland White.
Okay.
And Luscious Grape.
Hold there for 1 second. Okay.
Okay. The center was Euphorbia.
Okay.
Is that the Euphorbia? Yes. Then I had Scaviola, or Fanflower. And then lastly, let me see if I can find a tag, Stuart.
Which one?
The Helichrysum. See, I should have been more organized, but this is the Helichrysum. It may not have even had a tag in the center. Or no, it did have a tag, because I think I showed it earlier. Again, I'm not a very organized gardener, but I think that the composition is going to be beautiful. And I would say within a month's time, this will double in size. Probably in a couple weeks' time, it will double in size. And I think it'll be really beautiful. Now, if I wanted to add, and I've got enough going on. I don't want to add any more elements. It's already looking a little bit tchotchke. But if I wanted to later on, or if I was having guests and entertaining, I could put some torchères in here to light the passage, or even some battery operated lights. very classy looking ones that I could put in there to frame the way and illuminate the entrance to the front porch. But for right now, they're going to look more understated and not as dramatic as these pansies because they have to grow and flower. But again, always my operating principle is to get them in before the heat, because there's only 2 seasons here. There's before the heat and there is after the heat. One more question, comment that I wanted to address. So many of you have said, oh, you should put a Japanese maple here or there on the corner. And I agree, from a design standpoint, oh my gosh, that would be absolutely breathtaking. But from a pragmatic standpoint, they would fry like a French fry. I promise you, there's just no way they could handle this sun. However, if you look across the street, Stuart, I think we can maybe do it, just get a glimpse of some gorgeous, facing in the opposite direction, some gorgeous purple Japanese maples, bloodgood, in a different color palette. So what does that tell me? That tells me I can have them in the back, but I can't have them in the front. So it's kind of know thy garden. Now, I still need to do some pruning on the boxwood, but Stuart, we're gonna save that for another segment. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. And let me know your comments if you like this recipe, and if you might in some way try to replicate it at your home. Well, I have been looking forward to this for such a long time. I'm here with my friend and buddy, John Turman. Recently, you've been over at my house.
I have.
You have.
It's been great fun over there.
Yes. But now I am at your house in your magnificent garden. That has changed pretty dramatically since last time I was here.
It probably feels that way to you. It doesn't so much to me in some ways, but it's been almost 2 years since you were here.
2 years,
So,
and how many weather events?
At least, well, you were here right after a huge one,
Right.
which we've been kind of working on trying to resolve, and it's taken a while to do that. So then I think we had 2 smaller ones after that. So, and, and then just events where trees are gone and more sun and all that.
In other words, gardening in Oklahoma. But that accounts for a lot of the changes that you made, because as I recall, it was pretty spectacular last time we were here. And that is a reminder to you guys, if you want to do something really fun, go back and look at the initial, we'll put a link below of the initial tour that we took over here at John's Garden, and then you can kind of compare it to today's video and see how things have changed. I, for one, am extremely envious because, I left my mature garden for a new garden, and it is this kind of lushness and maturity that I am just desperate to recapture.
I'm glad you're seeing that, because I see at your garden all these new things that look so crisp and perfect, and I look around here and see the holes and the places where things still need to be fixed and all that.
Well, it could not look any better. But you know what, let's walk around. But one thing that definitely has not changed, and that is, I would describe you as a maximalist gardener.
Yes.
And for those of you new to this channel, John is an interior designer, so that he's been over at my house helping. But the other element that has not changed is your passion for blue and blue and white.
That is true.
In your attire and in all of your indoor and outdoor appointments. Okay, so let's start here. And Stuart, I want to give them a vantage point. So we are I love the way you have multiple seating areas, so that now that we have gotten up, this is a charming little area where we were just sitting. It's got some hold on, Stuart. It's got a couple of metal chairs with cushions. The lovely thing about this is it's right outside one of your doors and it's in the shade.
It is.
And it's kind of gives this kind of an evergreen loggia feel to different areas of your garden, because I would still call this kind of a small garden.
Oh, it is very much a small garden, I think. But right here especially, you get this LA kind of effect, which I think is really nice. And when I was sitting here the other day in the chair over there and realized, I'm not sure why we never put something right at the end of that as a focal point.
Yeah, on an axis.
I see something new that needs to happen.
That needs to be done. Well, that gives you something to play with. So the other thing is from this vantage point in the center, I think you can really clearly see those kinds of things. But it also makes you very much feel as if you're in a garden with different garden rooms.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a hallway.
And as we talked before, that's kind of my philosophy is my interior comes outside, and we try to create a similar idea with rooms and with accessories.
Well, and the nice thing
all
is,
that sort of stuff.
too, John, is you can move with the sun.
Yes,
so
you can.
Like it's pretty warm today. We were talking about how warm and humid it is. You just got back from the farmer's market. It's supposed to get up in the 90s, but under here it's just
it's
delightful.
really lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
And there's a nice little breeze. Okay, so you've got so much of, and so just be on the lookout for it, all of you. So much of your blue glazed pottery. And I'm going to have to get some seed from you of your purple columbine.
That sounds so well. I think I bought 3 plants 2 years ago,
and it
has
did
just
well.
come all up in here.
Yeah,
So.
I had tons of it at my other house, and I can't remember if I've got seed. It's probably in a box.
Probably
somewhere still waiting to be
So.
unpacked. And then you've got all sorts of tons of hostas, none of which yet looks in any way bedraggled or
when you go out where the hail was.
Well, let's just focus then
that
on
one was protected.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. This is a new bottle bouquet.
No,
has it just
been
relocated? Was it there?
It was really there.
Okay, I guess
it really was.
So Stuart dubbed that, gave it
yes, he did.
the moniker bottle bouquets. And there you have very much just a green and a blue bottle motif.
Which I still like to collect bottles because I like to drink wine and vodka and all the things that come in those pretty bottles. So
yes, I hear you. I hear you, my friend.
Yes.
Oh, I see something familiar to me.
Oh.
One of my QVC Kobo baskets.
Those are great. I bought 3. And I keep one kind of near each watering place.
I know.
And this is what happens with them. And they're just perfect.
Yeah, they're perfect for this because
they really
they're
are.
waterproof. Water goes right through them. Weatherproof.
I find that I will pull things knowing I have a place to drop it.
Right, yeah, because it's right there. And it's lightweight.
Yeah, very lightweight.
So,
those are great.
Okay, this is just an explosion of blue. I did dress appropriately.
You did.
To match my surroundings. What do you call this area?
I just call it the East Porch.
The East Porch, okay.
And as we talked about rooms, this really is a room. I think it really has that feeling. And when you're inside the house, you feel like you're looking out into another room. So
yes. And so I think so many people asked you, so we might as well share it again. The color of this blue.
Oh, I don't remember. I'll have to look
we
again.
looked it up, and now we don't remember again.
It's in the comments of that first video. But when you post this one, I'll post it again.
Post it again. But look at, it just is such a brilliant segue from your interior to the outside with your throw pillows, your coasters, your puffs, all of your, for lack of a better word, just regalia that you have up along this wall. Now, refresh my memory. Didn't you have to do some restorative work to the adobe and the
not this wall? It was the front wall.
The front wall. Okay.
We had an issue with and had to bury a lot of dollars, as I call it, and do some restoration work. So
yes, very unfun way.
Yeah, it is not a fun
money.
way. But I kind of like how it turned out there. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Yeah. So describe kind of your muse for this entire area and how it has changed since the last time and what dictated those changes.
Well, again, we're in one room here. You have another room this direction, which is to the south. And I always call this the bamboo court because of this bamboo that goes along the wall over here. And there had been 2 very large photinias in this position, almost in the positions of where these hollies are now, that had been limbed up, and they really were trees, small trees. So we lost both of those 2 years ago. And when you were here last time, we hadn't replaced anything yet. So the hollies came in. It was a great experience. You would have loved this. They laid rubber mats across the front yard and drove a great big forklift over here to lift these over the wall.
Oh my!
Because there was no way to get in with them. So yeah, it was really quite a production. And my hope is that these grow. I want them to be more freeform looking and create lots of shade. Of course, we would love that. And just kind of protect this inner room from the outer one. So
and give you some privacy.
Yes, absolutely. And it's done some already, but.
So I'm going to guess our friend Roger probably helped you.
John and Roger helped with this.
Yes.
There's no way I could have pulled that off.
Yes.
And this is one of those places where we had to really, we had to buy something mature. Again, at my age, I can't start with a little plant. And I was just sick about losing what we had lost. So it was worth doing that.
Right.
And of course, not only were the plants something, but then that whole installation process, it was really,
It's stressful.
it was really something. It was very stressful, but I think successful now.
Yes.
And
Oh, there it is.
it's noon in Oklahoma City.
Yes, all of my followers know this now. It's our emergency alert system that if you live in Oklahoma, we've got lots of emergencies.
Yes, we do.
Okay, Stuart, I've had enough of this. Oh my gosh,
That was long.
that was a long
Yes, it
one.
was.
I guess it's the confluence of a number of different
Must be.
fires since you were at the epicenter.
Yes.
The epicenter.
Safe. That's a good
Yes,
way to
be
We are
safe. Okay, back to where we were.
We're talking.
Let me just breathe for a moment. So your courtyard is largely the result of weather events, but it just definitely putting in the mature hollies was the right
It was.
thing to do.
And of course, we have a lot more sun now than we did. So surprisingly, the maple has done okay. That was totally under
That surprises
under a
me.
Photinia before, and it really has done a fine. And even in the hot summer, it starts getting a little fried, but you know it's going to be okay, I think. But then just up in here, we get a lot more sun. So I'm trying some new things. This is I'm going to call it Rose of Sharon, but I can't remember what its real name is. So that was something we're going to try this year to see if we can get some blooms, and hopefully it'll grow out a little
Right.
bit, create a little more shade.
Yeah.
I got a question on this.
Uh-huh.
The sun causes the red?
Yes.
That is, I've
Yeah.
never
So
noticed that.
the part
before.
that's in the shade stays darker green, and then when it gets the sun on it, it turns red.
That is beautiful. They probably can't hear me, so somebody tell them what I asked.
Okay, yeah. So Stuart just asked if it was the sun that made it turn green,
It's just a
and
perfect
It makes it
or
turn
made
red.
it turn red
Yes.
rather, and the green that's in the shade is
It
because
stays green.
yeah.
Now
Now,
Rose is
okay.
sharing.
Now
Sorry.
this is a tip, though. This is a tip. That probably, if you had just designed this and you wanted to grow a Japanese
I wouldn't
maple
have been able
here,
to do it.
you wouldn't have been able to do it because it wasn't already established.
Right.
The only reason it can really handle this exposure is because it was well established, it was mature, and it was
that's-
older and wiser.
That's probably 20 years old. That's
Yeah.
one of the first things I stuck in under those other trees. And
Yeah.
one of the problems I have out here, it's really hard to plant things in the ground. So partly because of this bamboo, which comes up everywhere, constant. On this side of the fence, it's really good though. It only stays on this side, but there's so many roots and things in here. And then of course
Yeah.
those Photinia roots are still in here.
Yeah.
So that dictated the placement of the hollies where they were able to dig. So anyway, it's hard to do. So that's why I use a lot of these pots and just sort of sit them in the beds.
Another great tip: if you really can't dig in the dirt
Right.
for whatever reason, then
That works.
definitely
And just
make
like
container
that big
gardens.
boxwood over there is in a big pot, believe it or not, and has been
Well,
there for a
and
long
it-
Guy
time.
right here?
Yes, and it looks great.
And he seems to be happy.
What variety is this Golden Beauty over here, which looks so fabulous with your blue furniture?
That would be the Lowe's variety. I don't know what I
The
bought.
Lowe's variety, some
Yes.
kind of gold.
It is one of
golden-
those gold. It's called golden something. I don't
golden
remember.
juniper. Yeah, we'll call it golden
yeah.
juniper.
So, and then later, this ground cover is plumbago, so we'll get some purpley blue blooms going in here, which look really nice against all these greens.
So the nice thing is, though, even though right now it's a little bit warm, in the morning or when you're just a little bit chilled and you've got that sun coming down, perfect place to have coffee.
It is. And then, of course, in the evening, this is in the shade, so it's really nice out here in the evening. We have dinner out here fairly often.
Yeah, it's just
if,
lovely.
If it's not too windy.
I
So-
have to ask, this furniture is brilliant. Where'd you get it?
So that's Amazon, and the company was called, what is it? It's called Flash Furniture or something like that. But I think the actual brand is Crosley.
Crosley. Did you get it very long ago?
A couple of years ago. I think
Okay.
they're still available though. I think I've
Okay,
seen
so
them
I
out
will definitely try to put a link
Yeah.
to this because
and-
this would make a brilliant Mother's Day gift. So today I'm in the show. I'm
well,
just
you're
really
right.
sharing Mother's Day gifts ideas.
So then that's the chairs. The table came with those little French bistro chairs, and they were Home Depot, like 4 or
But-
5 years
but
ago.
this
But
is
the
a-
colors seem to be consistent. I don't know if
Yes.
the same person made them all.
Yes, and,
Um,
and the pads, did you get those,
Those
separately?
are at home or someplace.
Yeah.
You know, all
Yep.
fairly inexpensive things.
Yeah.
I've learned that so many things outside don't last forever,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter how much you pay for it; they still don't last.
They still don't
so-
last, and you can't really
so
expect
you might
them
as
to, so
well,
you might as
right.
well be thrifty at
Absolutely.
the beginning.
Yeah, but this is aged very well. In fact, I'm not seeing. There's a little bit of fading from it, but not much. So
Well, and speaking of thrifty, this is, if you could find something at a thrift store that was already pre-aged and modeling the metal would still be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you've got that kind of vintage thing going. Okay, well, this is absolutely spectacular. Now, Stuart, if you don't mind kind of getting this long view, and of course, you have all of your rose rocks and your crystals, and you know, you've kind of gotten me into, I'm not quite to the extent you are, but I am getting into blue. And you know that I've tried to incorporate
you
more
have done
of
a
it.
little more blue. Yes,
yeah,
you have.
in my house. I'm trying to mix it up as I get older. But look at this beautiful vista. And this is the thing that judicious pruning can do for you. And that is just, and by the way, this effect I was told is called a lion's tail.
Really?
Where you really prune out the interior, and then the fluff is mostly on the ends, and you let the lion tail get really long, because it's so wonderful. This creates an overhead shady passage.
It really does. Well, you taught me something. I mean, I did that on purpose, but I didn't know that it was a thing.
Was called.
So, yeah.
Well, so much of gardening is instinctive, isn't it?
And that's especially me, because I'm not, and I don't have
well,
a lot
but
of
you're
education
a designer,
in it.
so you've got good composition skills, and well, let's face it, we're both pretend garden designers and designers because we're self-taught.
Well, I still think you're at a different level than I am. So,
well, I would include you in the interior category. So this is just beautiful flagstone, and describe just how this came to be.
I wish I had an answer for that. Obviously, we needed to get paths in here going to, this is the kitchen door, so we needed to get that way. You needed to get back through here. Initially, this brick wall, that was a raised bed that was here when I bought the house. And instead of tearing all that out when we created the addition to the house, we left it. And so it's just sort of started doing these paths through it, and it creates up and down things. Not sure how that's going to work in 10 years. So.
Yeah,
because you really have to be careful walking through here.
Right.
But there are lots of levels and lots of places to fall. So far, I haven't done that. But and then this at one point had a lot of shade. And so as the junipers are gone from the neighbor's yard now, so we get so much more sun in here in the morning. So I'm not really sure how this is going to work. This will be the first year.
Well,
I'm hoping that, again, the maples are established. They've been here several years. Some of these other things, I've changed some things to more boxwood and the spirea, which can handle more sun. And believe it or not, my hydrangeas were not getting enough sun. So they've been doing better the last year or two with a little more sun.
Yeah,
so we'll see
take a little more than I think.
how that all works.
I love, this is one of those little luxuries, I think, you guys, that costs nothing. And it is just such a treat to yourself. Things where you've just very carefully curated the stones that you have gathered to meet this terracotta and cream colored color palette, and then you've just assembled them here in this wonderful pot,
And I love things like that. Obviously, that's kind of my look. But again, I kind of wanted to put a plant there, and I kept trying to decide what it would be. And finally, it was just like, nope, I think this is a place for an object.
Yes.
Now, someday that may move and a plant may go there. But one of the things that I've been doing is in Oklahoma are hawthorns, just sort of not surviving. And I had 24 at one point. And so we're down to about 3.
Yeah, okay. So by the way, I'm often asked when I do public speaking, okay, what plants did we used to be able to just rely on as tried and true? And the but no longer. And the quintessential example of that are Indian hawthorns. Not because of the heat, but because of the cold.
Right.
So it's something we continually have to kind of watch for.
So there were several in here, and now they're all gone. And have been replaced with basically boxwood and more hydrangea.
You know what I love about this time of year, about May, is not even so much the roses and the peonies, the geraniums.
Yes.
The geraniums still aren't so hot,
they're not.
To quit blooming. They haven't gotten budworm yet. I love the fragrance. I just love their
I like geraniums too. That's one of those tried and true things I keep doing. So and it works.
Yes.
So.
Well, and even though they get hot in the summer, they come back.
They do.
It may not be Futcher, but I do love the topographical interest of this.
Good.
And it probably helps with drainage.
Well, I was going to say that was one of the reasons we kind of created a drain thing going down through here. It worked for a while, and now I've probably planted too many things. So it, the water collects here, but
Yes.
It's okay.
Look at just an example of your collection. And do you shop any one place for things, or you just shop everywhere?
Well, I will say that most of the jars came from Tuesday Morning and Home Goods and places like that, just because, again, they're not that expensive. So if one does get broken, it goes in the broken pottery garden and not,
Yes.
I don't feel like it's so precious. The slag glass, I think I got in Arkansas somewhere. This is a new addition. Roger found some planters, and we put one back here and one in the front. Just again, to try to create a little more height over here, a little more privacy from the neighbor.
Okay, great tip. Stuart, we need to put up the little tip thing, because this is just a brilliant tip, along with the boxwood that you had staged in there. In a container, this is a way you can get instant privacy, instant height, and interest, textural interest. And those aren't really expensive plants. So
Juniper's are very inexpensive, and I hope they grow and get big, and we'll do well there. Obviously, they're not going to grow forever there because of the size of the pot. But
I can just see how fun would this be when you're entertaining, to put huge, in the cool of the evening, bouquets of sunflowers
that
in
would be
here,
pretty. I've
and
never thought of doing that.
illuminate little tea lights everywhere. Would just be charming. Okay, and as we come down the yellow brick road, hellebore, and you've got, Virginia creeper is one of those things we have a love-hate relationship with, isn't it?
I pretty much hate it, but I can't seem to control it. So,
well, so you might as well learn to love it and just deal with it.
Right.
Yes, and just deal with it. So you like to mulch your pots. Interesting. I love the way you have incorporated so many more junipers in pots and containers than I remember you doing in the past.
That's a new thing for me. So I hope that it's not a mistake. We'll see.
No, I think it's a great
they'll handle
tip.
the heat. We have bagworms, so I'm going to have to stay on top of that.
But great winter interest,
but,
and they're cheap.
And they're very inexpensive. They really are.
And they've got, again, year-round interest. So here's my question. How do you decide where I guess a lot of it is just where the shade is, but how do you decide with all of these charming places?
Well, we tend to go to the front. We like that area up there. So this is really more for if we have a group, we'll come back here. And it's a great view from inside the house. There's a window over here that we see all this. So we enjoy this more from the inside than we do the outside, because we really live over there.
I can see this as a great outdoor workspace, and we do lots of meetings at my house, and I could definitely see this as being a wonderful outdoor.
I don't have that
area.
opportunity. I don't meet my clients here, so I can't work outside.
Well, this is where I primarily meet, and it's so nice to be able to sit outside.
Yeah, and this had gotten just kind of devastated in here 2 years ago from all of that ice we have, and it has a lush feel again. There's still some
recovered
things
nicely
that need to happen, but I want it to be very loose and woodsy looking,
but it's got a very nice balance of things being very trimmed, but also very loose and billowy.
And again, there's more sun in here, so the hydrangeas that were planted under here last year bloomed really well, and they look like they might this year too. I see lots of buds on them.
Yeah, this looks like an Annabelle.
It is, yes.
And there's this area, more so than the other areas, has lovely movement to it. There's a gentle breeze today, and I just love It
is fun to watch the things move in here.
Yeah.
So.
And it's a calmer space.
I think so.
You've reined in your maximalist tendencies here. This would be a great place to meditate if you.
It really could be.
If you do outdoor.
If I did that sort of thing.
If you did that sort of thing.
No, it would be.
And
I've pretty much given up on color out here other than green. I get those hydrangea blooms, which are white, but it's just not a great place to grow potted flowers or things like that.
But it contributes to the beautiful serenity.
But I really like it that it doesn't have that.
Of this space. Great basket source.
Home Goods. No, at home. At home.
At home.
Yep.
What's the difference between Home Goods and at home?
Well, at home used to be something pottery. What was that called? Cimarron Pottery. Remember, it's a Texas store.
That was
and I think it still belongs to that company. So much larger box store, lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think Home Goods is part of the TJ Maxx family, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think.
Yeah, maybe it is.
And so
I should know that. I should know that kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but
at home is a great place, a great source for a lot of stuff for decorating, especially when you are like. Sometimes I had a project at OU. For a conference room, and there were all these shelves that had been built when they used to collect binders of
Oh,
medical
yes.
research and all this
Yes,
stuff. Well, of course,
yes.
all that's been dumped in the trash. So for not a whole lot of money, I was able to go to At Home and get the things, to fill these shelves to make it
Shelves.
a decent
Right.
looking room again.
Right.
So anyway, it's a good source
And
for that
I
stuff.
bet you're a thrifter too.
Yes.
I don't do a lot of.
Yeah, you're more thrifting than you are the inexpensive stores. So.
Yeah, I love more thrifting
yeah.
or.
But like this, I wanted because I wanted something on this table, but I wanted water to drain out of it. I didn't want to create a place for water to collect. And,
Well, I think there's that
so.
that tension. The other thing for me is I hate it when people say, "Oh, I'm so busy," but after you, especially when you move, I'm pretty busy.
Yes, you are. We can tell.
Yes. My loved ones can tell. How
I'm
busy
sure. I bet you just.
yes.
I bet you just fall into the bed at night and just pass out. So,
But the thing is I have to admit I do more online shopping now because I just don't
Right.
have the time to get out enough. So I think it's that nice. I'm not an absolutist about anything really. I think it's moderation in all from multiple different sources.
I agree.
Spread your love around.
but when you're,
But thrifting gets my heart first.
it does. But seems like if I'm trying to thrift for a project, I'm not lucky.
Right.
You find things when,
Oh, yeah,
when you're not
that's
looking is
so
when you
true.
find things.
Yeah.
When you think, oh, I need to go find,
Yeah,
some old
no,
books or
no.
whatever, they're not there.
That-
And then one of the things I like about these bigger box stores, sometimes I'm just inspired by what I see. I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And they change ever quickly. I mean, it's very much, it's
Yeah.
fast interiors.
Right.
Like we talk about fast
Yes.
fashion.
Yes.
And, maybe not so great for the environment, but
But-
it works for what we have to do
Well, like I
sometimes, so.
say,
Yeah.
moderation in all.
It is.
Okay, in the dark of night, Stuart, would you help me move this over to my house when John's not looking?
All right.
Because that is brilliant.
They still make them. They just don't look like that. 'Cause
Yeah, I know.
That one's patinaed.
Yes, that one is
I bought
just.
that. I guess I'm giving them. I bet that's belonged to me almost 40 years.
Is that a
I had that.
statuary world thing?
I think it might have been,
Yeah.
and it's a very common when you see it.
Yeah.
And it's actually cracked, but it leaks on the edge over here, so I have to put water in almost every day. But it's got great color on it.
And then you use really successfully. Yours comes back.
This has been really successful. So the one you mentioned before, which is that more miniature one, I don't think is quite as hardy here.
Okay.
as
This is, by the way, this is Muhlenbeckia, or AKA wire vine.
Wire vine. And there are 3 sizes of it, and I've only ever seen the big one on the West Coast. But this size is very common here, and it really does come back. You think it's dead, but it really
comes
does
back.
come
and
back.
and especially because yours is naturally mulched with leaves and things. And also, I would say that it's pretty good about handling both sun and shade.
It seems to do okay here. And again, it was planted when it was all shady, but
And lots of textural components. I may have to snap a little segment of
well,
that.
you're welcome to do that.
Because I love this blue-green color palette through here.
And that's one of those things that just popped up there, and I was like, how perfect! It
It
knew where
is
it knew where to
perfect.
plant itself.
Yes.
But it comes up all around, and of course, a lot of people think that's invasive and something they don't want. But
Ooh, I love
I'm
it.
happy with it. So
Very serendipitous. And
Yes.
plus, that would be something that's easy to control. Okay, we have more to see, but I think for today we're going to have to end on this note. And here's another thing that I think is a signature touch. I'm so into signature touches.
Yes, you are.
know that about me. Look over here. Look what he's done with just that beautiful broken.
And I used to have a rather large area of what I call the broken pottery garden. It has gone away, and that's some of it's left. One of the things that I learned last year, though, which you can't see, but I thought this, and someone told me, I'm not going to say it was my idea, but when I have all these empty pots in the winter, to do something in them. So I now have a collection of broken pottery that, like this one had seashells in it all winter. One
right.
on the back porch had pieces of broken blue stuff in it. Sometimes I'll pick up my stones that are laying around and put those in a pot.
Yeah.
And it really made a
Pine
difference.
cones
I didn't
or-
feel like I needed to do the whole pansy thing and the cabbages, which don't work here anymore.
Right.
Another thing that doesn't do well in
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
yeah.
Our weather's too extreme, for that to work well. So anyway, I thought that was a great idea. And then some of it I put back in the garage and some of it I just dumped out.
I have to tell you
We'll come back to it. But
this little story,
Uh-huh.
and a huge gold star to my followers. John, from experience that this channel has the best followers
Yes, it does.
ever. They are so kind. They are so, they make brilliant suggestions
Mm-hmm.
without in any way, being critical about it. They're just wonderful. But I have to share this story with you. So I found a piece of pottery in my garden, and I discovered it, and I put it up on the channel. And one of our followers tracked it down and told me what it was and where it came from. And
so was it just buried out in the yard somewhere?
Yeah, it was just a little bit of garden archaeology.
And it's unusual for that to happen in Oklahoma. You know, on the East Coast, of course, that's what happened to trash.
Yes.
And so when you go back 300 years in digging, you find all kinds of great stuff.
Amazing
We don't find so much like that here, but I think that's fun that you did. I remember your attic treasures you found. Those were fun too.
Oh yeah, attic treasures. Okay, well, let's stop here.
Okay.
But can you just end by, isn't this brilliant? And then we'll just say goodbye for this Sunday show.
So there's some peonies blooming, which got a little rain tattered, but still have some good color. That whole area along the fence over here, when I moved here, was I always have trouble with this word. What is the green thing that grows everywhere in Oklahoma? You have them down the side of your yard.
Yopon hollies.
No, the tall ones that are overgrown.
Hollies.
No, those aren't hollies along the back fence.
Oh, the juniper.
Juniper, thank you. I always have trouble with that word.
Yeah,
and I don't know why. As much as I love Jen, you'd think I would remember juniper.
You would remember,
but anyway, these were junipers. And so it was very shady. They were too wide for the driveway. So finally the neighbor and I said, okay, they're going to come out. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to look, but it finally has a lush look now. And it's kind of just a border garden.
Yeah.
And all kinds of things happen. You can see the larkspur has self-seeded because I didn't pay attention and shake them where they should have. So they're all on the edge.
Brilliantly.
But they're going to be pretty.
And one of the few places that I have seen ilex or sky pencil holly do very well. I think it can be hard to grow, but
those have done well
effectively.
And they made it through that horrible winter, lost every single leaf, which they don't normally do. And I thought, these are goners. And we wired them all back. So they were bent every direction. We wired them back together and they came back out. So I think they might survive here when we go down to below 15.
Yeah, we have to, sometimes we have to be rewarded for our patience.
So many things, we'll say 0 or 5.
I know.
But now in Oklahoma, you've got to get 15 to 20.
Oh,
so
just
below,
that additional 15 degrees.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling.
You're welcome. So good to see you. I want to come for a tour of your garden sometime soon.
Well,
I'm keeping up with you on TV and I drive by occasionally.
Yes. Well, it's a work in progress. And like I say, people say, oh, it looks a little bit messy. Well, gardens that aren't established look a little bit messy.
They tend to do that, don't they?
Yeah,
it takes a bit.
They tend to do that.
Things have to grow together, and I love that when that happens. So
Yeah.
Good to see you. Good to see you too, Stuart.
Okay, take care.
Thank
you guys have a wonderful Sunday evening. Well, we are at probably one of the cutest, if not the cutest bungalows on my street. Stuart is giving you kind of a from the street curb appeal kind of loop around to us because I am here with my new friend Sydney. She and her husband Tommy, you moved in when?
In 2019, August of 2019.
2019. So we immediately bonded. I am literally a stone's throw from her house. And she and her husband have just done wonders with this darling little stone bungalow. And we kind of bonded because as I would be out walking, I would compliment you on your yard. Sometimes you, sometimes your husband, Tommy, because they've just done such a wonderful, wonderful job. And then the more we got to know each other, the more we bonded over thrifting because she is a thrifting queen. So tell me a little bit about your house. You've been here since 2019, but how old is your house?
It was built in 1938. So when we initially looked at it, I hated it. I hated the stone, and then we sat on it for a couple days, and I ended up falling in love with the stone, and that's ended up being the reason that we purchased the house.
And you guys give a little backstory where you moved from to move into this kind of inner city neighborhood.
Yeah, so when we moved to Oklahoma, we moved to the North Edmond area. We originally came from Fort Worth, where everything is tight and compact. So we decided we wanted some space. We moved out to North Edmond on about an acre.
Excuse me for interrupting. Yeah. Edmond, by the way, for those of you that are outside of Oklahoma, is kind of a suburb to Oklahoma City. It's about 20-30 minutes from here. So go ahead.
So we moved out there. We bought about an acre. it also didn't have any landscaping. It was our project. We do that in every house. We figured out that there were some things that we liked about being out there and being on an acre, but we always found ourselves downtown and midtown and uptown, that kind of area. And I grew up in a very old home that my parents actually renovated. And so I love old things. I love old houses.
Yeah.
And so I convinced my husband to move down to this area, and we haven't really looked back since.
Yeah,
we love it here.
It is a really, I've said it before, Stuart, let's kind of walk around as we talk. It's really a vibrant area. We're like 5 minutes from downtown, and we're within walking distance from all these wonderful restaurants and bars and just all sorts of different kind of mercantile type places. So let's start over here if we can, Sydney. And first of all, who is this little kitty in the window?
That is our rescue cat, Tucker. We also have 3 dogs. I went to PetSmart for dog treats and came home with the cat. So that's the story of him. He's more like a dog than he is a cat. And we love him. He's great.
And this is proof in the pudding that you can have animals and you can still have a beautiful yard like this. So she's got a little island out here. Stuart, if you showed it at the beginning, if you can kind of do a close-up. So you've got an island out here that looks to me, Sydney, like you've got some maybe lime mound spirea.
Correct.
And do you know what kind of boxwood you have?
Baby Jim, I believe.
Baby Jim, I bet. I love Baby Jim. That's a southern living plant. And then you've got some yarrow in here. This looks like Silverado sage.
Yes, it is. We lost that, or I thought we lost that during the freeze, and it's starting to make a little bit of a comeback. But yes, that's
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That shows the power of mulch, because that's typically not even really frost hardy.
No.
I think it's to zone 8. You've got some artemisia in here. Yep. I love the fact that Sydney and Tommy have a really tight color palette, and it's one of the things that first attracted me to your house, because you guys have played off of the gray of your stone. Was that intentional?
Yes, and one of my favorite colors is purple, so it just happened to work out. I honestly want to branch out every year, but I can't go away from the purple. It's so hard.
It's so hard when you fall in love with something, and then you've got the grays and the gray foliage and the Silverado sage and the artemisia. Do you know what kind of yarrow or salvia you have?
I'm not sure what type it is.
Okay, and I of course love the mossy rock. Now, would you share a little bit, if you will, about, you were telling me that if you had known now what you knew then, what different?
Yeah, so when we moved in, we had 2 trees that were planted here. One was literally planted right here underneath this water oak, and our first project is always to landscape houses when we come in. That's the first thing that we like to do. So the first thing was like, let's get some landscaping around these trees, not thinking that tree was eventually going to have to go, because it was a big sycamore tree.
Right.
And it was just going to cause issues with this tree. If I could go back and do it again, because we ended up losing that tree, it snapped at the base in the freeze.
And this was a sycamore as well?
Yeah, they were both sycamores. And so if I could go back and do it again, I would probably extend this out and come around here. But not to say that might never happen.
At some time in the future. So Sydney and Tommy, like the rest of us, are just still trying to acclimate to all of the problems that we had last year and trying to modify our landscaping accordingly. But I love the way, do you know what kind of pansies you have?
They're from TLC, and they're called the Ocean Blend.
The Ocean Blend, which some people call lavender, some people call blue. Whatever you call it, it is a beautiful color echo with the pansies and then the salvia, and then that's kind of carried up through to the front. Now, the last garden tour that I did at another historic home in Heritage Hills, I talked a little bit about their grass treatment. So this is a situation where you guys, do you have Bermuda grass? Bermuda.
Yep.
And then you have overseeded it
Correct.
with
Fescue.
fescue.
And I'm not sure exactly what type of fescue it is.
Okay.
The yard is the grass is my husband's hobby. So
And he treats it very lovingly. I have seen him out here. Might be Crossfire. Who knows? There are so many new fescue blends. Some people overseed their Bermuda lawns with fescue. Some people do just like a perennial rye or whatever. Both work. And it's important to point out, you have to irrigate it.
you do, yes.
And Sydney, like me, we both face south, so it can get really, really hot on this exposure, especially when you've had sun before or had shade before, and then you've lost it.
Yep.
So you guys have carried, and I'm sure this was very intentional, you've carried the gray up here, the gray and the lavenders and the deep purple in a number of different plants. So starting over here, Sydney, what all do you have?
So a blue atlas, which I think is really pretty common. I think it has some weeping tendencies. I don't necessarily think it's a weeping blue atlas, but on the bottom it has some weeping tendencies, and on the back it does. I especially love this tree. It's one of my favorite trees in our yard.
Well, it looks great with your house.
Below that, we have some cactus that was actually here when we purchased the house. And it's, as you can see, it's in a pot. I love it. I think it gives a little bit of a different dimension to the front flower bed. And then I have some lantana that currently isn't blooming. That's right in front of that. That's also purple. And then, as I mentioned before, the pansies. And behind that is catmint, which is kind of a pollinator's dream.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Do you know what variety this is?
I don't know which catmint it is.
Well, this is, I have to compliment you, this is one of the healthiest stands of catmint I have seen in many a while. It doesn't have spider mite or anything, and obviously you guys know how to keep it pruned back so that the stand of it remains really full and bushy. And I just love, as you said, the textural contrast between, and the color echo too, all of these kind of foamy,
Greenish,
dusty gray
grayish.
greens.
Yep.
I love that, blue greens. So the cactus, the blue atlas cedar with its really sweet pine cone. Stuart, would you mind getting a close-up of these dear little pine cones? Do you ever use those at Christmas?
Yeah. And we get this wrapped pretty tightly for Christmas, and inevitably some of these branches break off, and I save them and use them for some inside decor that have with the little pine cones on them.
And it's also kind of an icy, fun greenery to use indoors. I had one in my backyard, Sydney, that I lost, I think probably to OG&E.
Oh, yeah.
Which happens sometimes. And then is this Poas Castle Artemisia?
Yes, yes it is.
Are there some azaleas back there? They look like little encores, are they?
Yes, they are encores.
Encore azaleas. So she'll be reblooming in the spring and the fall. And then just standard Yopon hollies.
Yep, correct, yeah.
And yours, looks like one of yours took a hit, but it's coming out.
We're working on it. It's the only one that had an issue.
So that's pretty amazing.
We got pretty lucky with some of the smaller shrubs, not necessarily so much with some of the larger stuff that you'll notice in our backyard, but.
And then I like the way, it's interesting. Was this in place before you moved in, the stone and
the stone and the cordon edging were in just up here. We mimicked it out here. And then we also, when we go to the back, you'll see that we mimicked all that in the back. There was pretty much nothing there.
And so basically just left intentional gaps in it so that you could put more stone in. And you've got these great kind of stone, built-in stone planters here. These were here, weren't they?
They were, yep.
Okay. And some little boxwood balls. You love, apparently I noticed also right away you love boxwood as much as I do.
I do like boxwoods.
And softness with the ivy here. And then this just wonderful kind of, I just love the way when you come up your steps, you're just flanked by your signature color. And all of these really pretty gourds and pumpkins. And she selected just the right amount of them. And then I love the color of your is this a faux wicker or real?
It's real wicker.
I was going to say, wow.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it is, you've got an overhang here, so it's rather protected. And then did you guys intentionally paint it to match your trim?
They were gray. We had them in our previous house, and they just worked out perfect.
Well, that's miraculous, because a lot of times that's a great tip, is to paint your outdoor furnishings or some of your accessories to match the trim of your house. I just love everything about it. Talk to me about these marvelous planters.
Yeah, so these planters, I like old, but I also like some modern and geometric shapes. I think it's totally different than the rocks and the curves that we have in the flower beds. So when I saw these, I had to have them, and we also have some in the back, and I tried to get 2 more sets, but with COVID, I haven't been that lucky. So.
Well, hope springs eternal.
Yes.
Doesn't it? And they're so impactful from the street, Sydney, and they're just the perfect scale. Stuart, you can probably kind of get that they're just the perfect scale for her front porch. And I think that sometimes that was a problem with previous owners, is they couldn't quite get that scale down, and you have really enhanced. What I love about this house is the symmetry of it. And you have really enhanced it. And then over here, you've just repeated.
Yep. The Yopons, the catmint. I love the catmint. I love the smell of the catmint, and I especially love, like I mentioned, in the spring and in the summer, lots of pollinators. We have actually lots of bumblebees.
That's great.
You don't see them very often anymore, so I'm always on the lookout for the bumblebees, but tons of honeybees and bumblebees, and they really, really love that stuff.
And does Tucker love it too?
Tucker loves it, yes. If you're not careful, he'll be hiding in the catmint, just laying in the catmint, I think sometimes asleep, and then we get home from work and he jumps out of the catmint. Yeah.
Well, that happens.
Yes.
Is he a little tipsy?
A little bit when he gets out of there, yeah. He loves it though.
And I just love tone on tone, so that the pretty little lavender blue flowers are the same color as your pansies. And then what kind of grasses do you have back in here?
Those were here when we bought the house, and so I'm not 100% sure what type they are.
What type they are, and even the cactus. Is this one also in a pot?
It's not in a pot, it's in the ground. I planted that one because I wanted to repeat it and have the symmetry on the same side. So,
well, you have just done a divine job of absolutely everything. I just loved it when you guys moved in, and I liked it even more once we got to know one another. So do you mind if we go to the backyard?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Well, you guys, I'm so excited to show you this charming backyard. So we have a couple of things that have joined us. One being Sydney's husband, Tommy. Cheers, neighbors. And I can always remember Tommy's name because I've told you before, I'll tell you again, he reminds me of my youngest brother, Tommy. You look a lot like him, so it's kind of a
Makes
nice.
it easy.
Yeah, it does make it easy.
That's right.
And you guys, this backyard is just so absolutely charming. And starting with one of my very favorite things, you guys know, look how they've used gravel here. Talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, so this is actually more of a drainage thing than it is for looks, but we love the looks of it. It's effective with water, and so and you'll see in the back more where we've continued that on with a little bit bigger stones, but more for water drainage than looks, but we love the look.
But it works, and it looks great with your stone. Is this a tailored juniper?
Yep.
Because in our neck of the woods, we really can't do Italian cypress because they aren't really cold hardy. But we can do tailored junipers, and you have used it just brilliantly here, and it accentuates without hiding too much, I think, all of the wonderful stone. And more Yopon, it looks like. And are those Obsession Nandinas? Yes. They look like Obsession Nandinas. You guys really like Southern Living plants.
I had some carrots in the front. I see your videos and you talk about carrots, and I love that lime green carrots too.
And you know, that would go great with your house, maybe where it's a little more protected up underneath your eave. So talk about you two as a design team. Who is the laborer? Who is the designer? Or do you both share?
I'm the laborer.
For the most part.
For the most part.
I can attest to that. I can attest to that because he's always working out in the yard on your beautiful turf. But when it comes to like color selection and things like that?
Yeah, so he always gives his input on the color, and he really loves the purple. We chose the purple, well, we've chosen the purple every year that we've moved in, and it's just really worked, and we haven't switched it up. But he chose the purple initially, so I'll give him credit for that.
I take full credit for that.
Well done, you. And anything else, you'll take credit
That's
for.
right.
If anybody wants to give it.
I don't get it that often, but I'll take it.
Okay, so over here you've done the same thing. You've got a little bit larger gravel, which is beautifully contained. And I love that this is kind of a rusted metal that perfectly echoes the color of the fence. And you said you have a great neighbor, and so you guys can talk back and forth about what needs to be done and what you want to do.
Yeah, he's very open to the things that we want to do, and staining fences and things like that and color choices. He pretty much gives us free reign, and we're very lucky to have a neighbor like that, so we really appreciate him. But yeah, he's basically like, just do whatever you want, pick the colors. And
that is a really wonderful thing. And look at this. Did you guys do this espalier?
We did, yes. We did.
Now, what kind of vine is this?
It's jasmine, star jasmine. And I picked that because in certain spots of this fence, it gets a lot of afternoon sun. This in the middle where you see that it's not quite filled in yet. It's a little more protected from this tree, but I wanted something that was evergreen and bloomed at the same time.
Did you have this growing up?
No.
No?
No.
But
I thought about doing English ivy, but with the heat over here and it just doesn't bloom, and when this blooms it smells so good also, so that's...
So Tommy, did you do the grid for this?
We did. We had 3 or 4 that we had found on Pinterest, and she actually made her mind up, and we got the string, and it took us a little while to figure it out. It was a little time consuming, but yeah.
Try to decide how big diamonds I wanted.
Yeah, it's just green wire. We got you knocked it out of the park on the scale, and it looks like you planted one about every a little more than 24 inches, 30 inches maybe.
Yeah, ish.
Yep.
And did they start out as what size? Gallons?
Well, maybe actually smaller than that. They were, when I planted them, kind of trailed them a little bit and trained them. They weren't even up to here, and so we planted them maybe beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
Oh,
so this is
awesome.
one season, one summer worth of growth on this.
That is marvelous, and it goes across the top, and you must water it. Do you have irrigation over
We
here?
do not have irrigation over here. I do water it by hand. Really is.
But there's quite a bit of shade here too, so it holds what moisture we do put in.
Well, and you've got this great gravel mulch. Now, I think sometimes there's a misconception that if you have a rock mulch that it's going to really retain heat, and it does do that in the wintertime, but in the summertime it really helps hold in moisture, and it's a beautiful, the color of it just really matches the color of your house. And I think sometimes you can sometimes look at a landscape and you think, oh, something's not quite right here, whatever. And I think a lot of times it's because the gravel is not in the same color family as the stone on the house or the brick on the house. So I think it's really important that you get that right, and obviously you guys have. And this is I just am immediately zen when I come back here. It is just so soothing and just so nice.
Definitely our happy place. We spend a very large amount of time back here.
So Tommy, you were saying earlier, give us a little bit of a history of what this looked like before.
Yeah, so we wanted a little bit more of an open concept, and as you can see, here's where one of the posts were. So
here, yeah.
As this, basically, if you just come inside this edging a little bit, this was closed off. This was a fence. We had a gate right here, obviously. So the idea was to this fence needed to be redone. On this side of the driveway. So we already had a cedar fence, so we decided let's move that over, open it up, put the gate in up here, the entry gate, and turned out really good. Really opened everything up.
Well, and I love it, and I also like the fact that when you've done things, you haven't gone bonkers and using too many different types of hardscaping materials. You've really kept it pretty limited and in the same kind of color family. And well, I was asking Sydney, what is this, an English Tudor style? I guess it is, with your steeply pitched roofs. Sometimes in these old neighborhoods, they seem to be a hybrid.
Yeah. It's very unique, which I don't know what she told you when we first looked at it. It was kind of like, I don't know if we're big fans of this stone. And, you know, looking back now, it's what made us fall in love with it.
Yeah.
It's really just kind of a unique house. So.
Well, and it just, you guys have just, as I said, you've just enhanced it just beautifully. And I like the fact that the drive doesn't necessarily even feel utilitarian. It almost feels like a patio. Right. It makes this whole area, I can see if you had a large party or something, you could easily put tables out here with umbrellas. You could really accommodate a large number of guests if you're having a party outside or doing some outside entertaining. And then so you've carried, let's talk a little bit about the plants before I absolutely am just so enthusiastic about your outdoor seating area. But here you have echoed the same things that you've got in the front, the same color palette. You've got some, it looks like lots of heucherellas. And last time I was here, you were telling me about your...
Yeah, so in the front we have yopons and boxwoods. In the back I decided to go with hawthorns, just for a little less manicured approach back here because there's so many of them. A little bit less maintenance for us, and so we did lose all of the hawthorns that you'll see in our landscaping. We lost all of those in the freeze, every single one of them. I think it was like 42.
Oh my gosh, 42. And talk about losing a lot of foundation plantings and infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, one thing I think we need to mention, that is not an inconsequential financial loss.
No, it's not.
So the fact that, and quite frankly, as you drive around in Oklahoma City, a lot of people couldn't afford to replace a lot of what they've lost or even had their trees trimmed, which is also a pretty big financial undertaking. So especially since I live near you, I so appreciate the fact that you have brought it back and it looks so beautiful. Stuart, if you don't mind, I love the way you've got your garage door flanked by these two tall pots. And are these faux or are these?
They're faux. They're plastic.
Faux, but they look like they might be real slate or something.
They are actually self-watering because most of everything that's back here in pots or hanging baskets I run irrigation to, so it's not as time consuming. These, we don't have that option, so I chose self-watering pots for over here.
And you guys both work full-time, no kids. But you work full-time, so that time is a consideration. Right. And in Oklahoma, last time I was here, you and I were talking about you have to make a real commitment to your landscape. You have to know that you're going to have to do supplemental watering while you're still trying to be responsible about overuse of water.
Yep.
And you were also saying a little bit earlier that if it were up to you, your entire patio would be filled with container plantings.
Yeah. That's true.
But you put the kibosh on that, Tommy.
That's one of the things I've won on. I don't win very many times, but I won on that one. Yeah.
Well, okay, so in the arm wrestle that is your landscape, you win some and you lose some. Right. But I'm sorry, but this is pretty nice compensation, Sydney, because look at this wonderful seating area you have out here. Oh my gosh, this is just so nice.
Yeah, we kind of played off these rocks were here when we moved in, these gray rocks, and I think it goes pretty well with the trim on the house and the house in general. So that's why I chose this gray color. It's also fairly easy to hide stuff on. We have 3 dogs that get up there also, and as you saw earlier, Tucker, our cat, he spends a lot of time up there. So stuff that doesn't show dog hair and cat hair for us is also a plus.
is also a go-to. So were these pavers already here?
They were.
Okay, yes. And so they go all the way back to here. And then look at this is okay, here's a takeaway, you guys that are watching. I'm gonna lose this. But this is a great takeaway, a great solution. look at how they've got over here just some of these concrete pavers, and it's given you it keeps this from being messy, from getting muddy. It gives a nice secure foothold for when you're grilling, and it looks like a natural extension color-wise of the large pavers that you've got here. What kind of fern do you have? Is it shield fern?
Off the top of my head, I cannot remember exactly what it is. Those are a couple of years established.
Autumn fern, yeah. And they're
maybe they're
autumn fern.
Yeah.
But you've got a number of them, and those are perennials, so you don't have to. You've got a good, I think, ratio of annuals to perennials. Sydney was telling me that some of your Silverata sage in front actually came back. That's remarkable.
It did, yes.
That is, especially given stuff that was supposed to make it didn't, and stuff that shouldn't have did.
It's taken this long, but they came back. I wanted to give them a shot, so yeah.
Well, I think it's great. And so your outdoor furniture, now this is faux wicker.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And did you guys select this specifically for this space because it just looks like the scale and everything is optimal?
Yeah, so we looked for a while on something. We knew we wanted some sort of sectional, and so we looked for a while to find one that had the right size and scale and dimensions, and we ended up finding this one, and it worked out.
Well, it honestly, it could not be more charming. A perfect place for us to drink, to drink our wine, to take a nap,
I've been known to take a couple naps out here.
Yeah. She disappeared, and there she is.
And there she is, cuddled up with Tucker,
Yes.
or one of the dogs.
Yes.
Tell me your dogs' names again.
Deuce, Gunner, and Richard.
Deuce, Gunner, and Richard. Yes. So you have a whole family.
Yes.
A whole family affair here. Yes. Charming candles. You've got a repeat of these very signature touch. I'm a nut about signature touches. So I dubbed these one of your primary signature touches, these octagonal or whatever they are. Container plantings. They're absolutely wonderful. You've got some gray dichondra that's spilling out over the edge. And this is just another example of elevating the common to the uncommon, where you've just got a large Yopon holly that you've done the brilliant thing of limbing it up.
Yep. I love the structure of these branches here, and we just limb it up as needed, but the twists and turns of the trunks on these is one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite plants in the backyard.
It's got kind of an oriental quality, I think.
Well,
and
we've discussed too, maybe a thought of extending the patio for a covered area, but we can't get rid of that.
No, and I don't think you need to. And the other thing is that you still, a good bit of the day, since this faces north, you're still in pretty comfortable shady conditions over here. And then this pole here, where you have created really an outdoor room by circumscribing your space here with this pole. So you put the pole in.
We did not. The pole was actually
really?
Here. Yeah. Yeah, it was here when we moved in. The hanging baskets weren't. The hanging baskets are, ironically enough, places sell large hanging baskets, but they don't sell the hangers for the large hanging baskets. So my dad actually custom made me those basket hangers, and in the spring I actually have some bigger baskets that I put out.
Oh wow!
So that are even larger than that. So.
Well, they look very much like the hanging basket things that they've got in downtowns, small town downtowns and things like that. So it really kind of, I think, communicates that cozy small town vibe. Yeah. I love it, and I love the way it defines this space. And you've got an outdoor rug here. And so now this I really am fascinated by. You've got, your back lawn is overseeded, and I see few to no dog pee spots. Okay, so what is the trick?
Luck.
Yeah,
luck,
I don't know
really?
the answer to that.
Really?
We say that every year. We're like, how do we not? I mean, we have 3 dogs, and 2 of our dogs are large dogs, so they do use the bathroom out here. They pee in spots, and whatever. You have to ask what type of fescue it is.
It's a southern tall fescue.
but
or what type of food you're feeding, you know, or whatever, because that is such a problem, and I can't believe it's not a problem back here.
You know, we've been lucky at every house we've been at. It's this is the first fescue yard we've had, full fescue, but I was worried about that going into it, especially that and just the activity they have on it and all the traction, but it's held up really well.
Are your dogs older or younger?
They're older.
They're older.
Yeah, so
maybe
that
they're
helps.
not. Yeah, they're not quite as vivacious maybe as they would be otherwise. But you have Bermuda under here too.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. My favorite thing is always the stones that has the moss grow on it. I simply adore that.
And
Now-
actually, the guy who we use to get all of our stones and stuff, I'll say, get me the mossiest stones you can find.
Yeah.
Lots of moss, lots of lichens,
Yeah.
lots of and I look at the texture on that one side.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And he actually gets all these out of Guthrie.
Really?
They all come from Guthrie. Yes.
I like that, homegrown.
Yep. Just adds to the
Homegrown
effect.
rocks. I need to, you know, I have some absolutely fabulous slabs of rose rocks that are so Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I need to get you one. Now, Sydney, last time I was here, you were telling me about how these spruces had suffered, and you just could not discard them.
I couldn't, they got spider mites really, really bad. I treated them multiple times. Finally got rid of the spider mites, and you can see up near the trunk where the spider mite damage was. They're starting to grow out, but I can't quite get rid of them. So I put them in these pots
and giving them lots of TLC and a second chance.
Yep.
Everything deserves a second chance. And then it's out of there.
Yeah.
Or third chance.
Someone will need them at some point, and I don't have space for them back here, but at some point I will probably find a good home for them.
Well, it sounds like you're like me. I have gifted many a plant. You've got some large hostas over there. Nellie Stevens, that you said you thought from the history of your house that at one time they may have been in the front and they were moved to the back?
These two left, the left one and the center one, were here when we moved in. That was pretty much all that was here besides the large trees when we moved in. But I didn't have the heart to try to dig them up and move them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, afraid they may suffer.
Right.
So we just decided to add more hollies and even it out a little bit back here. So.
Well, and I think if there is ever a winner of a plant in Oklahoma landscapes, it's going to be Nellie Stevens hollies. Most hollies in general, because they just really can handle the extremes, the extreme cold, the extreme heat. Now, if you have a 300-pound oak tree limb that falls on them and shears them from the ice storm, like happened at my house, not
Different
so much.
story, yeah.
It's a different story,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, those are just absolutely gorgeous. Do you do lots of amendment with any kind of acidifier or anything like that?
No
You're just-
acidifier. I feed them a couple times. Once it starts to get warmer and they start to put on some growth, I feed them with just some basic fertilizer, as I do everything back here, but I don't do anything special to them.
So how large is your lot in general?
I don't know, do you know the
It's just under a quarter of an acre.
Okay, because I think sometimes we consider ourselves to have small gardens, but you can really do a lot in these small urban gardens and create different garden rooms, which you very effectively have done. You've also got some hollies back here. You've got some Arizona cypress that is just gorgeous. That may be the healthiest Arizona cypress I've seen in a long
smell
time.
Good. They're kind of wispy and different than the hollies. I'm attempting to get the hollies more full, but I like the wispiness to them. I like the color. It brings some of the blue back here.
They also handle the freeze really well.
And they handle the heat, and they're drought tolerant. They're a good recommended tree for Oklahoma, and I love that color of blue. Nice screening, and the birds love them too because of that open airy.
You'll find our cat Tucker a lot of times sitting right in front of those rocks.
Like a lioness, I love that. Okay, so speaking of garden rooms, come around here. So you guys put in these pavers.
We did.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy, you guys did all of this work yourselves.
We've got a guy that has worked at each of our other houses that does the heavy lifting, brings in the rocks, and these actually are not pavers. We poured these. These are actual concrete.
Okay.
So they framed them out, poured them. All the heavy lifting, that type of stuff, we have him do. He brings in the trees and all that. But
other than all the other stuff, you have done
yes.
pretty much all of that. You've got lots of, it looks like Helen von Stein lamb's ear.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
I'm a big fan of lamb's ear. I love the texture. I love the velvety texture of that. And while it's not so much blue, it's kind of a silvery, bluish, greenish, and so I like it.
That repetition of a design element across the space is what you have done just so effectively. And then we come back here to at my house, and you guys haven't seen my yard yet, but back here, I've got a little bit more space than you do. And this is where my potager is. Is in the back. But you guys back here have this, and boy, this heat feels good. A charming little fire pit, or a kiva, as many of us in Oklahoma would say. This is just so nice.
And the goal is to mirror what we did over the patio and bring in some lighting, some electric to the back.
I can see some string lights back here. And wonderful screening over here, and you have been blessed with really nice borrowed views, really nice borrowed landscape from really on all sides. Which is very, very nice. It looks like some storm damage.
This is that part of this tree. We lost a massive multi-trunk mulberry back here that used to literally arch over this fire pit and arch over the garage, and it split during the ice storm, and so we lost 3 of the 6 trunks, and it just didn't look right. So we had to take it out. Unfortunately.
And I've done so many videos, and in practically every one, I'm talking about the fallout from the ice storm, from the Arctic blast, and whatever. And I think sometimes some of my viewers probably think, "Oh my gosh, get over it already."
It was bad.
But it was bad, and I did a flashback where I showed what it was like that night. Remember when the transformer blew and the street was on fire? And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, it's Armageddon. I mean, I think we had no electricity for, I don't know, I don't even remember how long.
It was like a week.
Yeah, it was.
These trees had huge limbs that were falling.
Yes.
No power, there was no background noise, and it's eerie to hear those limbs falling.
Snapping and breaking.
It was bad. It was.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what the cause of that was, but I know there was one fire in the neighborhood where a tree fell on a grill propane tank.
Oh wow.
And I don't know, there was some kind of accelerant or something that made it, and that was another
whole other issue.
Other little gift, because out in the country maybe not such a problem, but we're all kind of close up and close and near to one another, and I can't tell you how much I am enjoying being near to you guys.
We love it.
It's so fun getting to know you. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of this absolutely charming bungalow. I anticipate I will be down here.
Come on. Always welcome. Always welcome.
For many more glasses of wine, and I hope you guys come and do the same at my house.
Sure will.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Well, if you've held on this long for the fashion epilogue, I have a double mint. Wait a second, start over again. What is that thing? The double mint twins? Remember that old commercial that used to be on? Was it the double?
Is it double mint? Yeah, it is double mint.
Double mint gum. Okay,
Double mint
okay,
gum.
yeah. Okay, sorry, I can't think and talk at the same
You're
time.
fine.
All right, and 3, 2.
Well, if you've held on this long, here is our double mint fashion epilogue for today. If you're not interested, just go on to the next video. So me first. These wonderful earrings were a gift from Hubs when he went on a trip to Peru before we were married. So that's a long time ago. They're probably 30 years old. My sweater is also very old. It's J. Crew. My breeches are H&M, and my boots are Forever 21. I think this may be the first time in a long time I haven't had anything on that wasn't thrifted. My watch is Armatron, and you guys have seen my dangly charm bracelet before. And then I also have, just in case it gets kind of chilly, which it might later, I've got a poncho. That came from I don't know where. So there you go. Okay, Sydney, it's your turn.
And for me, what I'm wearing is an oversized baggy sweatshirt. I don't know what brand it is. These are vintage thrifted Goodwill Wranglers.
She is a girl after my own heart.
My shoes are Golden Goose. Some bracelets. My husband got this one for me on our 5th anniversary. My watch is a gift from my parents. And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's great. And that is our fashion epilogue for today. Well, it is a beautiful and busy day in the neighborhood. And yes, I am in my own neighborhood. I'm so excited to take you guys on this garden tour because I'm at a friend of mine. Her name is Elaine, and she and I have known each other forever. In fact, our kids grew up together. We did carpool together. She has lived here about 30 years, about the same amount of time that I have lived in the neighborhood. She's right around the corner from me in this absolutely beautiful 1930s red brick Federalist style house. And she not only has a beautiful home that she keeps impeccably, but she also has just a really wonderful garden. And this is so fun, you guys, because I just called her and I said, I want to do a garden tour this weekend. Can we pop over? And even though it's been kind of windy and she's got some limbs down, she said, sure. Because she is a good gardener, she stays on top of it, and this is what her garden looks like even after she has been out of town for a little while. But before we come in, I want to show you a perfect example of what I call turning a very common plant into something extraordinary by limbing it up and beautifully manicuring and pruning it. So this is just a common burning bush. She said when it was, oh, yay high, that she took pictures of her kids in their Easter outfits, and as it grew, instead of letting it just get bushy and out of control, she continued to maintain it and prune it ever so beautifully. And now it just arches delicately over the wrought iron fence that comes into her driveway. So it's just a beautiful example of taking care of what you have and the transformative magic of good pruning. So now I'm going to show you this beautiful garden in a moment, but right now I want to point out another feature. She has great borrowed landscape. So this is a wonderful arbor. It's on the east side of her property, just beyond her fence. She's good friends with the neighbor next door. And this is a mammoth mature wisteria vine that very happily is beautifully maintained by the homeowner on the other side, and it blooms magically and magnificently in the spring. I have been here when it's in bloom, and the fragrance is just really overwhelming. So she is very fortunate to have great borrowed landscape. And as a tip, I know a lot of times it's out of our control, but if it's in your control, within your control, to help your neighbor transform something that may look a little bit unsightly into something that looks magnificent, then do what you can to beautify even the borrowed landscape beyond the boundaries of your own property. Okay, so now let's move into her backyard. I want you guys to know she has 3 dogs, and it can still look this good. Now, it hasn't always been easy for her, and she has finally, over the years, developed a strategy, found the right type of grass, transformed some of her landscape with gravel and such to make it both dog-friendly and gardener-friendly, and it's really a beautiful space right now. So Stuart, if you want to do a big reveal and kind of just do a slow circumnavigation of her backyard. Now, one of the things that I love about my neighborhood is there are gorgeous mature trees, and Elaine is just very, very vigilant about making sure that they're pruned beautifully so that they stay happy. Because you have to do that in Oklahoma, where wind and ice storms can wreak no end of havoc, and a well-pruned tree is much more often a healthier tree. So she has her own little garden rooms, and this garden room is very nostalgic for me, you guys. We put this in, I was asking Elaine before we started taping, how long has this little potager, this little garden over here been in place? And she said we did it about 20 years ago. And when it was first implemented, when we first designed it, we painted all of this white to mimic and repeat the white color on the trim work of her home. Now it has really aged charmingly, and I love the way it looks. It has a very neat, tailored but kind of older Gothic quality to it. Now, sadly, as I said, this has been here for about 20 years, and how I thought to come over and do a garden tour is because Elaine called me and said that now, after 20 years, it's really starting to show some disrepair, show some signs of distress, and we're going to change it up and more accurately reflect, I think, the homeowner Elaine's tastes as they are right now. So this has 2 gates. One from the front, and you can also access it from the back side, and I'll show you that. We'll go in here, and I can also find out for you and kind of point out to you what she's got growing in here. I know one of the things you're going to ask me is, Stuart, if you can really zoom in on that sweet sign she's got there that says Elaine's Garden. Elaine is all about garden ornament, and she probably won't mind my saying that she is a very sentimental gardener. And practically everything in her garden that is of a garden in the garden ornament category has some kind of sentimental meaning. A lot of them come from her mom, gifts from friends. So a lot of her adornments are things that have very special meaning to her. And I think that's important, and it really helps personalize your garden and make it very specifically your own. So, but even though it looks great, all is not well. She said to make sure to point out, she's got a couple of topiaries here. These are dwarf blue Alberta spruces. One is just fine, even here in August. It's got some new growth on it. This one, she told me, and this has been an experience I have had, that the drainage hole in this pot got clogged, and because of that we've had lots of heavy rain and it just kind of drowned. And so you can see there's lots of distress to it, and she'll have to kind of rethink this. Can she continue to have the symmetry of 2? Will she highlight this one in a different way as a focal point? But that is just an example of how the garden is constantly changing. Now, a while ago, she, I think I was influential in this. She wanted a kind of walkway that would be on the west side, and the west side of this garden, and help define it, but for practical purposes also give her a nice walkway where she could putter and work on her long window box pots that she's got running along the front. I can remember when we did these, and they have had various things in them over the years. They change seasonally. I can remember talking about these finials. These are just wooden finials, you guys, that you can get at Home Depot or whatever, in the wood, with the lumber and the trim and all of that kind of work. But look at how much more special it makes this panel look, how much more defined and finished it looks because of the finials and the top caps on these posts. And then we've got beautiful lattice work. Again, this was all painted white. It was very, very sweet, but I also love the way it's aged. So I can't wait to show you guys how we're going to do a makeover on this garden, primarily because of structural reasons, and how it reflects her new taste. We'll probably do that on LVTV, so you want to follow along. I also love the way she has allowed different things to creep through the lattice work. I think this is a kind of spirea, and she's pulled it through, and she also has some rose vines. She's got, this looks like it might be Carolina jasmine, and she can weave this through. If you've got kind of a shady spot, a Carolina jasmine is a pretty good option for you. It needs some sun, but can handle some shade. And then in late spring, early summer, she's got a magnificent rose that she, again, really keeps tidy and stays on top of it. I think she's pretty good also about keeping a garden journal and knowing what she needs to do when. As gardeners, we kind of grew up together, and we learned along the way from other people in the neighborhood and from garden mentors we had in common. You'll also notice that she grows a lot of the same things that I grow, because that's a great tip. If it works in your neighborhood, if it works in your geographical context, then it will probably work in your garden. So let's come this way, Stuart. And yes, this does look like it's a Carolina jasmine. This is a southern living plant. We did a video on this once, and I'll try to put a link to that video below if you want to watch it. When we filled 2 pots with this copper top viburnum and different kinds of seasonal color that spilled out over the edge. And what I like about this, and you'll notice, I don't know if she's been influenced by me or if it's her tastes. She's got lots of green on green too, you guys. It's August, pops of color, but not huge expanses of color. And yet you could hardly say that her garden doesn't have tons of visual interest. You can hear that wind. Okay, Stuart, follow me over here. So she has kind of a flagstone patio here with some gravel, not unlike mine. She is a huge fan of the Lowe's gravel, just like me. She said they recognize her at Lowe's because she is always buying it in huge quantities. But this is where they keep their firewood. It's stored over here, easily accessible to what I will show you later, which is their outdoor wood burning fireplace. So she saves, I love this about her. She saves her kindling, nothing goes to waste, and she's got it here so that she can fire up her fireplace as she sees fit with some good dry kindling. Okay, so if you come in here, you can see this is just a sweet little romantic garden. It's got a very southern quality to it. She did, again, about 20 years ago, I remember laying these out. This is just wintergreen boxwood, and she has some blue hyacinth bean, purple hyacinth bean, growing up these Gardener's Supply Titan 2 tours. I'll put a link to those below. She's got some topiary in here. She's got tons of pollinators. She's got milkweed. She's got rudbeckia. She has some penstemon. She has lots of mint that she keeps in control. She's just got all sorts of things, herbs that both she as a cook and the pollinators both love. She's got just buckets over here. I've talked about this as a strategy of container gardening with her tomatoes in them, which she said were just glorious. And then we had a big windstorm and they toppled over. But she has managed to kind of rein them in. And I love the way she's got this just old lattice work on the fence, similar to what I did at my home, and she's got ivy that grows up the fence, softens that facade, but really keeps it under control and tamed, because as you can see, she too has ivy growing up the side of her house, but she keeps it at about window level. Okay, so I think this is absolutely charming. It's a good vantage point. It's got good air circulation. It runs north-south, and it's got a nice vista down the length of her driveway. So she also has an area over here, which I have seen her use on occasion, with a potting bench over here. So she'll have a little potting bench over here, and under the shade of this I'm not sure what it is, this tree, she can pot in comfort, and she can play with her herbs and everything like that. So it's really very fun. Okay, she has, as I said, 3 dogs. So over the years, she has put in some wrought iron fencing that kind of circumscribes the shadier areas of her garden. Don't trip as you back up, Stuart. And this keeps the animals, the dogs out, but it also reflects and mimics the wrought iron that she has on her driveway gate and other appointments that she has in her home. These are probably 25 to 30-year-old Japanese spreading yews that do wonderfully in the shade. And because they're protected back here both from the wind and from pets, they have matured and look absolutely gorgeous and provide a wonderful textural contrast to the hydrangeas she has over in here. She's got an assortment of oak leaf hydrangeas. I'm not sure exactly what variety these are, some kind of mop heads, macrophylla. And then, like me, she has a background of nandina that looks beautiful in the winter, has great berries now that look attractive even when they're not in color. And just is a wonderful foil to soften that fence. And that's especially important, you guys, when the fence is new and you want something to kind of instantly age it. A backdrop of nandina is a good answer. And then back in here, she's got an assortment of ground covers, again, that she really stays on top of, probably just by mowing it down very short or weed eating it down very short in the spring. Now, this is very fun, you guys. This is a wonderful old pecan tree that has a tree house in it. You can see the ladder. Again, her kids are my age. Her oldest son is a neurologist. Her daughter was in my son Johnny's class, and they have another son, William, and again, they grew up with my kids. A lot of times they come over for Thanksgiving. We shared carpool for many, many years, and this was a favorite spot for the kids to play. I even love the way now it kind of groans in the wind. Isn't that fun, Stuart? And you can see that there were things that grew up, a vine that grew up, but the texture and the gnarliness and the magical hobbit-like quality of that tree, I just adore it. Now, another magical touch that Elaine has out in her garden is she has she's got lots of wind chimes, cowbells, whatever they're called, that have aged. Stuart, if you kind of can focus on them, they're behind you in this magnificent southern magnolia. Don't you just love that sound? It's a wonderful counterpoint. One of the reasons we love our neighborhood is that there are a couple of churches in nearby, and we can often hear the church bells. And this is just another lovely oral sensory quality to just this landscape. It's just really, really wonderful. Now, in the back in the corner, you can see this is where she's got her composting station. This is in the northwest corner. She is a brilliant composter. I am very jealous of the amount of space she has in which to compost. And as I have said many times, she is a much better gardener than I. She's extremely fastidious, and she just does a brilliant job. And I love the way that she has nailed on some metal sheeting on the side to protect the fence so it doesn't rot out from the compost. And she's got a little storage area back here. And then this is an example of what I like about turning, again, something that may not be really special into something that is more special. And this is something I do a lot with people, and that is, if you've got a utility shed or whatever, make it look like it's a real structure by putting an awning on it. You could hang a knocker on the door. You could put lights on either side of the door, and that instantly makes it look as if it was part of the property overall and not just a storage shed. And she asked me not too long ago, she said, can I take out some frustration during COVID on these huge, they were massively overgrown and not real healthy. And she just pruned them back hard, and I just told her it was a risk worth taking. Just prune them back hard and see what happens. And she did, and they're flushing out. And hopefully she'll be able to create maybe a couple of cones or something. You can see we had lots of wind here lately. So Stuart, don't fall on any of these brambles. So Stuart, if you could kind of pan this area, you can see how this entire walkway, again, circumscribes and circumnavigates her backyard. Now, I know some of you are going to ask what kind of grass she has, so let me talk about the grass, which has been an issue for years. And it's one of the reasons that she has this gravel expanse in the back, because like me, she really had trouble in the shady areas to grow any kind of a good stand of turf. She tried fescue for years. She had Bermuda. Neither one was a good solution for her. But this year, she said she decided to try zoysia, which I know in some areas can be very difficult and problematic because it grows by runners. But here again, she has 3 dogs, and this is the first time I've ever seen her grass look this magnificent in August. She's been taking care of it just brilliantly, she said, with lots of organic chicken manure, and we've had lots of rain, and she waters it very frequently. So she's got a great stand of turf. She always, again, thinks about her kiddos. It is a place for the family to live. After all, I too have swatted this ball many times myself. I'm sure it's a great form of Prozac or something for times during COVID. Okay, so come over here, and nice little seating area where you can enjoy. Stuart, if you can turn around, if I were sitting on this bench, I guess I could sit on this bench, this would be my view. And I think it's a wonderful thing to do when you're designing your garden, when you're playing in your garden, to always look at it from different vantage points so that you appreciate every perspective and every view. And it's a way to maximize the beauty, the utility, and the property itself of small gardens. That she's like me, she loves old mossy things. Look at this great pot. She's got it filled just with impatiens, more nandina in the background. She also, this outbuilding could have just been very meh, but she, with paint, just highlighted the trim. So again, that makes it's a very easy solution, and it elevates the sophistication factor of it big time. And so this walkway then comes over here to this magnificent pergola arbor. I asked her how long this had been here. She and I were trying to think, probably 15, 18 years. But it's all about comfort under here. She's got a ceiling fan. There's a little fountain here, and she's got her collection of succulents and things. And then look at this fabulous wood burning fireplace over here. Now here is a design tip. When she was, and I think I helped her, gave her some input on this design, none of this kind of stone was featured anywhere in her house, or on her property in the past. And we wanted it to somehow blend in with her existing architecture. So to do that, to kind of merge the two styles, we did incorporate some brick so that the brick reflects the federal style of her house and repeats this hardscaping element. So isn't this just a great place, you guys? Just a great place to hang out. It's especially wonderful in the fall. She too has Boston ivy growing along the top, and it's got great berries, and in the fall it's really, really beautiful. Okay, here's an idea to steal, you guys. Love this. It always helps sometimes to elevate your pots, and she collects stones. So look how she's taken some of her gathered stones and used them as pot feet for this aged terracotta pot. And like I say, she might have gotten this idea. You can see maybe lots of Linda Vater influences here. She's got lots of buckets. I bet this is a chef's choice rosemary in here. Lots of herbs. And then, Stuart, be careful going down the step. Very good. If you have a trouble spot, you need a plant that just looks good year-round. Put some variegated liriope in it. Looks great, looks soft, green on green, great textural contrast. And then over here, she's got her assortment. Look, she made a topiary. She goes, I got my Linda Vater on and I made a topiary. And she's got her collection of terracotta pots here. So it's just a wonderful landscape, you guys. Before we leave, I want to show you one more thing. I can remember when we talked about pruning up this English holly. It was solid all the way down to the ground. It kept growing out into the pathway, and we just decided to prune it up into a tree form so that there's room underneath it, not only to walk, but also to grow things that lends more softness and more textural complexity. So I hope you guys liked this little tour of my friend Elaine's garden. Stuart, I didn't mention in the back, she's got a nice additional seating area with a metal chair back there, some boxwood spheres, some of my famous gravel from Lowe's is there waiting to find a new home. And it's just a beautiful, family-friendly, pet-friendly, gardener-friendly, that's hard to say, gardener-friendly place to hang out. I love visiting it. It's very nostalgic for me. Elaine and I have known each other for years, and you guys hopefully will come back on LVTV. We are going to do a makeover on her herb garden. I can't wait to show you all of the details. Thanks for hanging out with me, you guys. Have a great Saturday.